Two Worlds I Studied at Hogwarts. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Family Master. With the Auror's explanation, especially after hearing the word Dark Wizard, the wizards gathered around left faster. Seeing Senior William also leave with the Auror, Moon felt a little relieved. "Thank you, Professor." Watching the Auror leave, Moon turned and bowed to Snape. If the potions professor was not present today, Moon didn't know how to solve such a thing. Snape exhaled with a nasal sound, and then looked at Moon straight in the eye. "Do you have any enemies outside the school?" Ever since Moon talked about the attack, Snape has been thinking about the identity and motives of the black-robed wizard. Because he was very suspicious of the Auror's ability, he waited until the other party left before asking. "No, absolutely not," Moon added immediately after he finished speaking. He knew very few people in this world, not to mention outside the school. Moon couldn't imagine who would have an enemy with him. Hearing Moon's affirmative answer, Snape frowned and pondered. If it's not outside the school, then it must be inside the school. If they want to use the sleeping charm to kidnap this little lion, they must want to get some secret. Thinking of this, Snape looked at Moon and shook his head helplessly. The secrets of the little lion in front of him are already very huge. Whether it is the strange potion materials or the word said by Dumbledore, it can be proved that the little lion in front of him is very unusual. However, very few people know about this. Maybe only Dumbledore, McGonagall and Snape himself know. And Snape guessed that McGonagall should be the same as him. Even if she knows, she only knows half of it. From this, Snape can infer that Moon's own secret is not the main target of the Dark Wizard this time. How many people know that you helped Sprout modify the level? Snape just thought about it for a while, and immediately thought of the most likely reason for Moon to be attacked. Not many people know about this. In addition to the professor, only Hermione and a few others have speculated some, but I asked them to keep it secret. Moon naturally knew Snape's intention, and he answered truthfully. "Stupid. How can you trust other people's confidentiality? As long as the Dark Wizard casts a legitimate, he can get anything he wants, but I trust them, just like I trust you." "Trust? Huh?" Moon swallowed all of Snape's ridicule with just one sentence. The air suddenly became quiet. Snape stood there for a long time before speaking again. "If I guess correctly, the other party should want to get the secret of the new level from you, but he didn't succeed this time, and there will definitely be a next time." "There will be a next time? Then do I need to return to school?" Moon never thought that he would be targeted by the other party when he left school this time, and he couldn't use magic at will outside the school, which made Moon very passive. No, although the individual strength of the Aurors is not very good, after something like this happened, they will definitely increase a lot of manpower, so Diagon Alley is still safe during the holidays. Snape's words made Moon feel a lot more at ease. His holiday plan has not been completed yet, and he doesn't want to return to school so early. That makes me feel relieved. "See you next time, Professor." Today was already Sunday, and Moon still had a lot of things to do, so after expressing his gratitude to Snape again, Moon turned around and prepared to leave. "Stop. I said you can rest assured, but I didn't say today. Don't expect the Aurors to act quickly, especially during the holidays," Snape said as he walked to Moon's side. "I'll take you back to the hotel first. You can come out again after the Aurors arrive in 2 days, is that so?" "But Professor, I still have a lot of things to buy today." Hearing Moon's words, Snape did not show an impatient expression this time. He took out a gold watch from his pocket and looked at it. "You'd better be able to finish before 6 o'clock tonight. I have to go to the Malfoy Manor for a banquet." 6 o'clock is enough, but Professor, I remember your celebration party is not next Wednesday night. Moon remembered it very clearly. The invitation to the dinner party that Dumbledore gave him clearly stated that it was that day. Yes, but some friends want to celebrate in advance. When Snape said this, there was no joy on his face. In fact, he really disliked these ineffective social interactions and would rather do more experiments in the potion room alone. While chatting with Snape, Moon came to the second-hand shop again. As soon as he entered the store, before the clerk asked, Moon went straight to the area where second-hand ones were placed. As for Snape, he wandered around the store aimlessly. "Are these ones usable?" Moon pointed to the cabinet where the ones were placed. "Of course, sir. I have personally tested each one. Although some of them are not in good condition, they can definitely cast spells, and the price is low. 2 to 3 gold galleons can buy one. Watching Moon's aimless selection, the owner standing by gave a kind reminder. Sir, I advise you to buy a wand of the same material as your original one, so as not to delay your studies. The owner of the second-hand store thought Moon was a little wizard who accidentally damaged his original wand. He had met many similar students before, so he naturally knew how to deal with it. Oh, I'm not using them myself. Please pack up all the ones in this cabinet. Okay, wait. All? There are hundreds of ones here. Are you sure? Seeing the shopkeeper's surprised expression, Moon nodded firmly. Don't worry, I can afford it. Pack it up quickly. Seeing that Moon's expression didn't seem fake, the clerk began to pack it up quickly. Just halfway through packing, Professor Snape also came over with 2 selected gadgets. What do you want so many wands for? I want to learn and refer to it. Don't you know that I made a wand before, but the effect was not very good, so I want to see if there is anything that can be improved. Then there is no need to buy so many. Right, actually, it's okay. Only if there are more materials can I summarize the rules from them. Boss, I will pay for Professor Snape's things together, okay, a total of 381 gold galleons and 11 silver sickles. Just as Snape was about to refuse, he heard Moon asking for a lot of money next to him. Also, boss, please pack me 5 more brooms in better condition. Hearing Moon's words, the shop owner did not hesitate this time, and he walked into the store. No problem, the brooms I pick for you are definitely the closest to new ones. Seeing Professor Snape standing there in a daze, Moon hurriedly answered in advance. If you want to ask, then I still want to study how to make a broom. Hearing Moon's perfunctory answer, Snape snorted coldly and turned his head away. In the second-hand store, Moon spent a total of 862 gold galleons. He got 172 wands of various materials and 5 flying brooms of the Nimbus series. Watching Moon and Snape disappear into the crowd with flying brooms, the shop owner stood at the door and thought hard. Is this the young master of a magic family? I've never seen him before. Chapter 227 Snape Goes Rage. After sending Moon back to the Leaky Cauldron, Snape walked slowly towards Malfoy Manor alone. When he arrived, it was completely dark. A large number of wizards had already gathered in the hall of Malfoy Manor. There were heads of functional departments of the Ministry of Magic, successful businessmen who run various fields of wizard life, and some members of ancient magic families. Most of these people were well-known upper-class figures in the British magic world. They were standing together in 2s and 3s at this time, enjoying this extremely pleasant time. They were invited to the Malfoy Manor to attend the banquet this time, not for Snape to win the Order of Merlin, but because they were attracted by the financial resources of the Malfoy family and needed to expand their social circle. When Snape walked into the Malfoy family castle with an expressionless face, the house elf Dobby immediately ran back to tell his master. Oh, Professor Snape, you are finally here. Everyone has been waiting for you for a long time, perhaps because of the speech of the owner of this place. The wizards who were originally drinking by themselves also gathered in 2s and 3s and complimented Snape. Sorry, I was delayed on the way. Snape took a cocktail from Dobby's tray and raised it to clink with Lucius. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you are the protagonist today. If you don't come, the party won't start. After Lucius finished speaking, he put the glass aside and clapped his hands. Ladies and gentlemen, the protagonist of tonight has arrived. The party officially begins. You can enjoy and have fun. Hearing Lucius' words, the wizards around also raised their glasses and saluted from a distance. Snape had already walked out of the crowd. Because he knew Snape's temper, he had a specific position in Malfoy Manor. It was very remote and quiet, and he would not be disturbed by others. The dinner lasted until late at night, and Snape sat alone at the dining table waiting for the boring party to end. After raising his glass and taking a sip of the cocktail again, Snape found a familiar figure appeared in front of him. Professor Snape. I've been looking for you for a long time. Why are you hiding here? Slug's owner was also one of the invited guests today. Unlike the others who wanted to curry favor with the Malfoy family, he came to the dinner just for Snape. Professor, thank you so much. You must drink 2 more glasses with me today. Before Snape could react, Slug's owner took the cup from the side and poured 2 full glasses of strong rum. Professor, drink. I'm really so happy today. This is the first time in more than 10 years. Watching the other party drink it in one gulp, Snape took a deep breath with a bitter face and drank it in big gulps. That's right, you help me, I help you, and you can introduce such business to Slug and Gig's pharmacy in the future. Ahem. Wait, Slug. After being poured 3 glasses of strong rum in a row, Snape was already a little dizzy. He put one hand on the other's arm to stop him from pouring more wine, and then asked with a flushed face. You've said so much, but I still don't know what business I introduced you that made you so happy. Oh, Professor, you may have been too busy studying potions to forget it. You should know Mr. Moon Scarlett, right? Hearing the name of a familiar little lion, Snape nodded dazedly. I know, he is my student, yes. It was him who delivered a snowbearer to my store this morning. Slug became happier and happier, and he wanted to pour Snape another glass of wine. What fruit? Snowberry, the one that grows on the snowy mountains and is now extinct. This time Snape heard it clearly. His eyes suddenly widened, and the wine glass in his hand squeaked. Professor, are you okay? Seeing that Snape didn't speak for a long time and his eyes were blurred, the owner Slug called out several times with worry. Where is the trust you promised? They are all liars. Snape gritted his teeth and just finished a sentence. The wine glass in his hand banged and was crushed by him. Professor, your hand, it's okay. Seeing that blood was already dripping from his left hand, Snape slowly pulled out his wand and cast a healing on his left hand. Mr. Slug, please tell Lucius that I have something to go out for a while, so he doesn't have to wait for me. After Snape finished speaking, he immediately cast a apparition and disappeared on the chair. At the same time, Moon, who was in the leaky cauldron, also prepared a lot of things in large and small bags and hung them on his body, and left this world. Boom. Bang. The bed in the cabin was very small, and it could only accommodate one person lying flat. So when Moon appeared on the small bed with his wand and flying broom, he accidentally fell down. Why did you bring so many things this time? After hearing the sound, Xilin immediately came over and helped Moon remove the package on his body. These brooms and wands are for the wizards on Xilin Island, and these delicacies are for you. Merry Christmas. Seeing a familiar figure, Moon was very happy. Christmas? What festival is it? It's a festival celebrated by wizards. There will be a lot of delicacies on this day. I want you to taste it too. When Xilin put all the things together, Bengbeng had already started to appreciate the new home with Juju. Food is easy to say, but how do you explain to others that there are so many wands and brooms all of a sudden? Especially the 3 great wizards. Xilin stood in front of the table, looking at these tools with some worries. He knew very well that although Moon had been recognized by the wizards on Xilin Island, this huge secret on his body must not be shown to others casually. Otherwise, Moon would most likely be identified as the next demon. Don't worry, I have actually been thinking about this issue. In the future, I will say that the things I bring back were originally in the cabin of the Scarlet Moon. With Moon's current magic power, he could not cover up the secrets he had, so he could only cover it up in this way. As for those who want to explore in the future, Moon can only let them try whether his wand is sharp or not. Well, it seems that we have to strengthen patrols on the Crimson Moon in the future. No, you guys just go and do your own things, and leave the protection of the Crimson Moon to me. Moon knew very well that as he did more and more things, there would inevitably be many dark wizards who wanted to board the ship to pick up treasures. These people were not something that veteran Lane could handle, so they had to be left to wizards. Of course, wizards were only guarding on the deck or outside the ship, because Moon had already cast various anti-theft spells and early warning mechanisms in the cabin. Anyone who entered the 3rd floor without his consent would trigger an alarm. However, these methods were not enough. Moon planned to learn the set of defense levels used by Hogwarts professors to defend his own Crimson Moon. Chapter 228, The Establishment of Xilin Island Magic School. As Moon's plan was being realized step by step, the people in Veteran Lane gradually settled down on Starlight Island. According to Xilin, Mimir has found someone to select a site by the river to build a paper-making workshop. Hall and his team have renovated all the fields so that they can plant new crops next year. The small classrooms for teaching children to go to school have all been repaired and will be put into use tomorrow. In addition, the leader of the Starlight tribe borrowed 3 boats, 1 medium and 2 small, to Starlight Island to facilitate the people in Veteran Lane to go out fishing and buy supplies. By the way, I just saw that there is another animal besides Bengbeng. Is it also your new pet? After sorting out everything, Xilin accompanied Moon to the deck. It's called Juju. It's an owl. It can be used to send letters, but it's too small now. Owl? It turns out that wizards like to use all kinds of birds to send letters. All kinds of birds? What do you mean? Seeing Xilin staring at Juju, Moon asked curiously. Oh, your Aunt Daisy borrowed a petrel from the wizard of the Xilin tribe and sent a letter to your uncle to report that she was safe. Is that so? I was too busy recently and forgot to write a letter. Moon still remembered that Uncle Neil told him before he left that he must write a letter to inform him after he settled down. Now because of the prophecy and curse of the tribe's high priest, he has completely forgotten about it. Don't say that. I know you are completely different from other wizards. Go and do what you want to do. These small things will naturally be our responsibility. Xilin patted Moon's shoulder and showed a pretty good smile. The next day after returning, Moon left Starlight Island with Bengbeng, Juju, the little witch Chris, as well as the magic wand and flying broom. Teacher, is this magic wand really for me? On the way to sail, the little witch Chris saw Moon handing over the magic wand and grabbed it tightly, reluctant to let go. Since she followed Moon, she wanted to get a magic wand that could cast magic, and now she finally got what she wanted. I'm going to give you a wand, but you have to let go and try it. Seeing Chris holding a beautiful cherry wood wand and gently hugging it in her arms, Moon urged her helplessly. So you still want to try it? Yes, that's it. Wave it casually towards the sea. Don't worry, try all 30 of them first. Moon thought that Chris's test was over long ago. This little witch not only took the initiative to take care of Moon's daily life on the Scarlet Moon, but also took on the work of preparing potion materials. The flame shell powder and batfish bladder powder from another world that Moon got were all made by her. After bringing back the wand this time, Moon planned to let Chris learn new magic with the wizards of Xilin Island. After trying the second batch of 30 wands, Chris finally used an apple wood wand to make a little ripple in the originally calm sea. That's it. It has an applewood body and a dragon heartstring collar. How do you feel about it? Hearing Moon's question, Chris held the wand and turned around with a helpless look. No, I don't know, but it seems to be the only one that gave me a little response. Chris was actually very scared now. After trying more than a dozen wands in a row without any response, she had already shed a cold sweat. She was very afraid that she would not be able to learn magic without a wand. Don't worry, it just came here. After a while, it will definitely be much better than it is now. Really, of course. When they arrived at Xilin Island, the Star Wizard had already led the tribesmen to wait at the port early. Seeing the tribesmen following behind disembarking with 3 bundles of wands, the Star Wizard hurried to the shore. High Priest, isn't this your spellcasting tool? Yes, it will be your spellcasting tool from now on. There are also these 5 brooms. They are flying tools and have no requirements for the user. Seeing that Moon brought so many powerful magic creations at once, the Star Wizard was speechless for a long time. Quick, go find the other 2 great wizards. Remember to ask them to bring all the younger wizards. This is God's blessing for our Xilin Island. After the Star Wizard finished speaking, he looked at Moon with more respect. He now understands more and more how correct the prophecy of the former High Priest was. Not only can it save the inheritance of the tribal wizards, maybe we can return to the glorious era. At noon that day, the wizards of the other 2 tribes had also arrived. After everyone was together, Moon asked them to come up and try the magic wand. Originally, he planned to let the 3 great wizards come first, but the 3 old men said that they would give the opportunity to younger wizards. In the end, they could only start with the young wizards discovered by Moon last week, and come up one by one for testing. Just wave it gently, don't be nervous, change to the next one, maybe it will work. For these children who are about the same age as him, Moon is like a mature mentor. He guided the little wizards to try one by one. Although he was not as rigorous as Ollivander's wand shop, he was able to choose a wand that was more suitable for the wizard. Yes, this is it, a dogwood wand body, a dragon heartstring wand core. The process of selecting a wand was very long, and Moon was very glad that he bought far more wands than the number of wizards. Otherwise, it is very likely that some wizards would be disappointed this time. After more than 3 hours of selection, 27 tribal wizards found relatively suitable wands. Among them, the Star Wizard tried 10 and chose a holly wand. The Spirit Tree Wizard chose a willow wand, which was the same as Moon guessed. The Sea Land Wizard chose an ebony wand, which is a wand body material that is very good at casting offensive spells. Lang chose a red oak wand, which is known as the most perfect dual wand. Shaman Lu of the Spirit Tree tribe chose a pear wood wand, which usually indicates that the user is kind, generous, and full of wisdom. After the wands were chosen, Moon did not rush to teach everyone how to use them and distribute the flying brooms, nor did he say anything. Compared with the wands, the flying brooms, even if they are second-hand items, cost nearly 100 gold galleons. With Moon's current financial resources, it is not impossible to buy flying brooms used by all the wizards in the tribe, but there is no need to waste money in second-hand stores. Turning to the three great wizards who were still whispering and comparing wands, Moon proposed his own idea. What? We want to build a magic school on the island, yes, in order to facilitate the learning of the young wizards and facilitate my teaching work reasonably. Building a magic school is obviously the most correct choice, High Priest. You are going to teach us magic, so we naturally support you with all our strength. That's right, tell us where you see the place on the island, and we will start building the school now. Seeing the statements of the three great wizards, Moon breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, let's choose a place next to the spirit tree and name the school Xilin Island Magic School. Chapter 229, 4 New Colleges. Opening a school is not something that can be done with just a word from Moon. Although the tribal wizards on Xilin Island will help choose the site for construction, Moon still needs to come up with a blueprint for the school. Classrooms, dormitories, playgrounds, libraries, herbal greenhouse areas, magical animal breeding areas. Moon plans to replicate all the teaching function areas of Hogwarts on Xilin Island. To this end, he plans to blow up the half of the mountain in front of the spirit tree to accumulate stones for the construction of the castle. Remember to wave the wand quickly and recite the spell correctly. In order to speed up the construction progress, Moon had to let the adult wizards learn Thunder Explosion. As for those little wizards, learning such dangerous spells, Moon was not very relieved. However, seeing that they all wanted to practice secretly with burning eyes, Moon had no choice but to take out a few small spells for them to learn. Clean Up, Luminescent Flash, Fire Spell. These spells are enough to distract the energy of the little wizards. As for those little evil spells that play tricks on people, Moon does not plan to teach them now. However, when the tribal wizards were learning spells, Moon found that they were too influenced by the original tribal witchcraft. Everyone's learning progress was far worse than when Moon was studying at Hogwarts. However, the speed of learning of the little wizards and Chris was quite good. After spending a whole day to inspect and approve the spells of all the little wizards, Moon asked Chris to lead them to learn how to prepare potion materials. These are the future pillars of the magic world that Moon has set his sights on, and of course they must master all magic subjects. In the newly established Xilin Island Wizard School of Magic, due to various restrictions, Moon has temporarily set up only 9 courses. Spells, Herbology, Transfiguration, Potions, Astronomy, History of Magic, Flying, Alchemy and Dueling. Among them, the professors of Spells, Flying and Transfiguration are temporarily appointed by Moon, and the students are naturally all the remaining wizards. The Herbology course is taught by Lu Shaman of the Spirit Tree Tribe. The wizards of the Spirit Tree Tribe know more about the herbal medicine production on Xilin Island and even on the Vina Island than Moon. The potion class is also taught by Moon for the time being, but considering the time arrangement, the Spirit Tree Great Wizard participates in the teaching as an assistant. The professor of astronomy and alchemy is Xingmeng Darwu, which was originally the focus of the witchcraft of the Xingmeng tribe. The history of magic course is taught by 3 great wizards in turn. They are the people who know the most secrets of ancient magic. As for the duel class, Moon did not think of it at first, but after being reminded by the great wizard Xilin, Moon felt it was necessary to add it to the curriculum. Although Moon runs a magic school, the living environment of Xilin Island is not very good. Especially now that there is a war between the unbelievers and spellcasters and court mages outside. Practicing duels well can not only protect the interests of Xilin Island from being provoked, but maybe in the future Moon will have the opportunity to return to the mainland with his own wizard army. Looking at the High Priest's magic, which is fast and fierce, I didn't expect that it would consume a lot of physical and mental strength. After learning Thunder Explosion, the great wizard Xilin felt fresh for a while, and cast more than 10 spells on the mountain in succession. Then he had to hold his old waist and slowly walk towards the 2 great wizards who were sitting and watching the fun. You are the youngest, so you should do more work. It just happens that you can share some of the work for the 2 old guys, the great wizard Xingmeng said jokingly. I don't mind working, but what does the High Priest mean by dividing the school? We finally let the younger generations gather together to learn magic. When Moon proposed to build a school yesterday, he also proposed the concept of dividing the school, But the three great wizards didn't understand it at the time. In the past, they trained young wizards by letting the old ones teach the new ones, letting the young wizards learn slowly by their side, and the teaching content rarely involved the witchcraft of other tribes. Because of the influence of the curse, the three great wizards have long wanted to change this situation. So while Moon was building a magic school, they decided to let the tribal wizards study together and not hide their secrets from each other. Now Moon has proposed a branch, which makes the great wizard Xilin feel that they are back on the old path. I think the branch is a good thing. If you are always in harmony and don't have some drive, how can you learn magic well? Young people should be like the sun just rising above the sea level. The great wizard Bengbeng stroked his long beard and said that he really liked the vigorous look of the young wizards in the tribe. That's right, let's fight for it. Flowers and grass can't become talents without fighting for it. The great wizard Lingshu also nodded slightly, expressing the same view. Of course I know that fighting for it is good, but have you thought about being the dean? And we have to choose a representative animal for the academy. Have you thought about this? The great wizard Xilin sat next to him and gulped down a mouthful of water, and sat down helplessly. He was not good at thinking about these things, so he was a little worried. No, we should be more cautious about this matter. Let's think about it again, regarding this kind of academy inheritance symbol that the younger generation is likely to continue to use. The three great wizards became cautious. Of course, they didn't know that Moon's idea of branching out was just a whim to continue the heritage of Hogwarts, and he didn't think as deeply as they did. After making this suggestion, Moon proposed to use the names of the three tribes to establish their own colleges, and then add another college to make up for the four. Bengbeng College, Lingshu College, Xilin College, and Fiayu College. The three great wizards served as the deans of their respective colleges, and Moon served as the dean of Fiayu College. As for the principal, there is no principal for the time being. The specific affairs of the school are decided by the four deans, and the final decision is made by Moon. When setting up the college, Moon and the Great Wizard actually had a little disagreement because of the source of students. Is the enrollment of Xingjian Island Wizard School only for wizards from Star Island, or will it include strangers from outside the island? Xilin, the Great Wizard, has a deep prejudice against them because he has fought with wizards from outside the island the most. Whenever Moon mentioned wizards from outside the island, he would call them devil cubs. Great Wizard, don't worry. I only want to teach those children who have a clean background, have just awakened their magic talent, and have not learned any magic. These people are not demon cubs, right? Moon knew that the reason why the tribal wizards hated the wizards outside so much was because Elpers betrayed the tribal high priest. Then he turned around and cast a very vicious curse on the tribal wizards. Most of the magic outside was passed down from this demon, so all wizards who learned these magics were called demon cubs by them. And the little wizard selected by Moon happened to be not among them. High priest, can you guarantee that the students you recruit have not learned the magic of the devil? Great Wizard Hylan asked suspiciously. Of course, as long as they are students selected by me, I can guarantee it. Moon can see everyone's wizard bar, and as long as the little wizard has learned magic, the length of its wizard bar will definitely change. This has long been proven in practice. This is his most powerful enrollment method, which is both efficient and error-free. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230 Snape's Complaint. Even though Moon had made a big fanfare to build a school, set up branches, and decided to recruit young wizards from outside the island, he still didn't have enough students. There was only one wizard from outside the island in the school, and that was Chris. Looking at the sparse 20 or so students, Moon felt that he should also get a set of magic props similar to the Pen of Acceptance and the Book of Admission. Of course, in addition to the problem of student sources, there were many other problems that Moon had to worry about. The design of the teaching venue, the construction of the potion laboratory, the construction of the herbal greenhouse, the shortage of books in the library, the construction of the school clinic, the formulation of school rules, and the serious shortage of professors. These problems all needed to be solved by Moon one by one. So in the next few days, Moon felt an unprecedented busyness. The two little guys, Bengbeng and Zhi, had a lot of fun on the island without Moon's control. The wizards on Xinjiang Island knew that they were the pets of the high priest, so everyone wanted to take whatever they wanted from them. It had only been 7 days, and the two little guys had gained a lot of weight, and they were in a very good mood, and Zhi no longer made a fuss about looking for his parents. Moon let them stay here this time, and he was ready to go back. Back at the leaky cauldron, Moon had just slid onto the soft big bed when he felt a strong sense of sleepiness. Because of the school construction, Moon was too tired these days. But just after he closed his eyes for a while, there was a strong knock on the door. Dong, dong, dong. Who? Moon woke up suddenly and grabbed his old willow wand. Even though he was very sleepy at this time, when he thought of the black-robed wizard, Moon's sleepiness disappeared immediately. Dong, 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 dong. There were 3 more rapid knocks on the door, and the person outside the door still didn't speak. Moon didn't speak this time either. He quickly picked up the invisibility cloak beside the bed and put it on, got out of bed and found a corner to hide. Bang bang bang, the knocks turned into a stronger knock on the door. Then Moon just stood in the corner, and he saw the lock hanging behind the door being pushed out little by little. The person outside the door was using magic, and Moon secretly hated himself for being careless. Click, the lock fell. Creak, the door opened. A small wand entered the door first, and then a wizard in black came in. Where is the person? Did this little stupid lion change rooms? Hearing such an irritable and familiar smell, Moon's suspicion was dispelled a lot. You'd better come out quickly. Otherwise, our agreement will be invalidated, and I will double the credits of Gryffindor in the future potions class. Snape reached out and touched the quilt, and found that it was still warm inside, and then shouted in the room. Professor, there is no need to do this, we have been separated for less than 10 hours. Hearing Snape in front of him say something that only the two of them knew, Moon quickly took off the invisibility cloak and put it behind him. No need, how can it be unnecessary? I know that the trust of you stupid lions is never reliable. Hearing Moon's voice behind him, Snape roared first, and then realized that something was wrong. How did you show up? There was no one in the room just now. Don't worry about it for now, Professor. Tell me why you came here again in the middle of the night. Moon felt relieved when he found out that Snape was not an imposter. He walked to the bed and sat down. Snowbarret. What's the matter with this Snowbarret? Snape had just finished his roar when a young wizard came out of the door. Can you keep your voice down in the middle of the night? Can't you let me sleep? Before the wizard finished speaking, Snape threw out a throat lock. Professor, you attacked a wizard. Don't worry, it's just a little snake that just graduated from Slytherin College, isn't it? Baron Weber, Snape said, turning his head slightly and looking at the young wizard who was already trembling and unable to say a word with a pair of fierce eyes. After seeing that it was Snape, the wizard obviously regretted coming out. He bowed to Snape and then ran downstairs quickly. Professor, you are so cool, Moon said, and got up and closed the door. Don't change the subject. Tell me, what's going on with the snowberries? Snape was already on the verge of exploding, especially since he had drunk a lot of wine tonight. Seeing that Moon still looked indifferent, he became even more irritated. Oh, didn't you introduce me to Slug and Genz's pharmacy to sell materials? I did introduce you, but how can you take out extinct materials for exchange? In Snape's opinion, precious potion materials that have been found to be extinct should be used for experiments, not for money. Professor, you didn't say you couldn't, and I have more than one Snowbarret. I didn't say that, but, wait, more than one, what do you mean? It means literally, because there are still a lot, so I took out one and exchanged it for 3,000 gold galleons. Hearing Moon say that there were a lot, Snape took a deep breath and tried to control his emotions and calm down. When his mood was calm, he looked around the room, walked towards the sofa and sat down, then waved his hand and the cup flew into his hand. A stream of clear water like a spring filled the cup. Gulp, gulp. After drinking several sips of water, Snape finally calmed down. Mr. Scarlett, can I exchange a snowberry with you? Of course. Moon sat on the bed in a blue nightgown, looking like a weak and helpless child. Well, you will come with me to Gringotts Wizarding Bank tomorrow, and I will transfer the gold galleons to your account. Hearing Moon's agreement, Snape rarely smiled. Wait, Professor, but I don't need money now. If you don't need money, what do you want? Potions, preferably high-level potions. Not needing money is of course just Moon's excuse. Facing different trading partners, choosing the right trading chips is the result that Moon wants. Hearing Moon's words, Snape clenched the water cup in his hand. He already owed Moon 100 copies of Plant Growth Potion, which almost took him nearly half a year. And now the little wizard in front of him actually wants potions again, and only wants high-level ones, which makes him feel exploited. After thinking it over again and again, Snape still couldn't resist the temptation of snowberries, and he spoke slowly again. Okay, I agree. Have you decided what potion you want, Professor? Please help me think about it. After all, this is your specialty. Anyway, you can just arrange it at a price of 3,000 gold galleons. Moon knew very well that the snowberry sold to Slug and Gins's pharmacy must be worth more than 3,000 gold galleons. However, he was not going to raise the price this time, especially since Professor Snape was his long-term customer, so he naturally had to give him the right discount. Okay, how about the lucky potion? It can greatly improve the user's abilities in all aspects within 12 hours, and most importantly, it will make everything go smoothly for the user. Isn't this the lucky potion? You can say that its refining cost is relatively expensive, and each bottle costs 500 gold galleons. I'll exchange 6 bottles with you, no problem, Professor. After Moon finished speaking, he immediately took out a wooden box from his suitcase and handed it to Snape. This is the snowberry you asked for. I added some ice cubes to it so that it can be preserved longer. Seeing Moon excitedly take out the potion, Snape opened the box and carefully checked it. After confirming that it was correct, he closed the box again. By the way, I forgot to tell you that the Felixir has some side effects. You need to pay attention to this. Chapter 231 How to Pass the Level. According to Professor Snape's explanation, taking the Felixir will make people overconfident and even a little reckless. Some people will make some irrational decisions and behaviors because they rely too much on the good luck brought by the potion and ignore the potential risks. After the effect of the potion wears off, when the good luck is gone, the user will also have a psychological gap. Well, that means if I want to use this good luck potion, I must think about what to do in advance and try not to make major decisions during the medication, right? After listening to Snape's explanation of the side effects of the Felixir, Moon also had his own way of dealing with it. You can say that, but I have to remind you that this potion is best used once a month, otherwise it is very easy to get addicted. Is that so? I am really looking forward to the effect of using this potion more and more. Seeing that Moon was not worried about the side effects at all and was eager to try it, Snape knew that no matter how much he said, it would be useless. In that case, I will first refine the plant growth potion you need, and then refine the Felixir. 1 year should be enough. After Snape finished speaking, he put the box of snowberries in his pocket, stood up and prepared to leave. Professor, isn't 1 year too slow? Slow? Snape had already walked to the door. When he heard Moon talking, he immediately stood still and his tone became gloomy. Oh, you really don't know how complicated it is to make advanced potions? It took more than half a year to make 6 bottles of Felixir. You can go and ask which potion master can do it. Thinking that his free time for the next year would be controlled by Moon's potions, Snape was very depressed. And now this little lion still complained that he was too slow in making potions, which made Snape even more crazy. Okay, Professor, I'll deliver it according to the time you said. Moon wanted to get the potion as soon as possible, but seeing that Snape was on the verge of madness again, he knew that this was the other party's limit. Looking at Moon's casual appearance, Snape's breathing became heavier and heavier, and his face became uglier and uglier. I should have pretended to be a dark wizard to steal your snowberry. Listening to Snape's threatening remarks, Moon waved his hand and got back into bed. Don't worry, Professor, you won't do that, huh? Snape was suspicious. Why not? This snowberry's worth 3,000 gold galleons. Any dark wizard would want it, because you are a proud person. It is impossible for you to do these thieves' things. Although Snape was not Moon's dean, after several conversations, Moon found that the other party was like a noble and elegant black peacock. In addition to loving to deduct points from Gryffindor, it is absolutely impossible for him to steal like a mouse. Hearing Moon's evaluation, Snape was stunned for a moment, and then an intriguing expression appeared on his face. Moon Scarlett, don't make random comments about a professor. You don't know what he has done in the past, Snape said and walked out of the room without looking back. Listening to Snape's last sentence without a beginning or an end, Moon was also a little curious. What's wrong with Snape? Did he regret something he did before? Looking at the door that was open after Snape left, Moon had no choice but to get out of bed and close it, and then soon fell asleep. Moon spent the next 3 days in the leaky cauldron, He read books, practiced engraving, ate and slept. It was also during these 3 days that a strange black-robed wizard wearing a black cloak and a hood came to Hogsmeade. Every night he would go to the Hogshead on time to order 2 butterbeers and make bets with the wizards in the store. Until the 3rd day, when he saw a tall figure walking into the bar, the hooded wizard's eyes lit up instantly. Hagrid, you said you are a gamekeeper at Hogwarts, so have you seen many magical animals? After generously treating him to several glasses of wine, the distance between Hagrid and the black-robed wizard narrowed a lot. Hiccup, yes, there are all kinds of animals in the Forbidden Forest, unicorns, botricles, centaurs, thestrals, hippogriffs. Hagrid, who drank 3 glasses in a row, was already a little confused, but when talking about his professional field, he became energetic again. Boss, another big glass of fire whiskey for Hagrid, it's my treat. Oh, no, I've had enough today, Hagrid said, raising his hand to stop him. It's okay, let's chat a little more, I really like what you say. The black-robed wizard took the full glass of whiskey and handed it to Hagrid. Really? It's rare to find someone like you who is willing to listen to my nagging. Few people go to my place, so I usually say these words to dogs. Hagrid took the wine and gulped down another half glass. The face of the black-robed wizard opposite him became a little unnatural, but thinking of the purpose of tonight, he still endured it. By the way, don't you have any more powerful animals? Of course there are powerful ones. You know the 8-eyed giant spider, its venom is very powerful, and when it grows up, it can spit silk to entangle an adult man, and fire dragons. This kind of animal is fascinating, but it is not allowed to be raised in the Forbidden Forest. When Hagrid said that he liked fire dragons, his eyes became more and more blurred. The hooded wizard seemed to have been prepared. He just took out a dragon egg he bought in Nocturne Alley 2 days ago. You actually have it. Come on, how do you want to bet? Hagrid was very fond of some huge animals. When he saw a real dragon egg, he would not let it go. Just play cards and bet on the size. I didn't expect that your card skills are so good, Hagrid. I can give you the dragon egg, but you have to prove that you can deal with a dragon and not let it run out and cause trouble, right? Oh, don't worry about that. I can even keep Fluffy obedient, so I can definitely do the same with dragons. Hagrid defeated the black-robed wizard in just 1 round, and then he got the dragon egg he had been thinking about. Fluffy, what is that? Oh, a dog with 3 heads. It's very ferocious. It will pounce on strangers and bite them. No one can escape. Is it so powerful? How did you subdue it? It's nothing. If you want to calm Fluffy down, just play some music. Hagrid looked at the dragon egg in his hand with joy. The effect of alcohol made him unable to remember at all that Fluffy was carrying out a secret mission. Just play music. Is it that simple? The black-robed wizard couldn't help but be a little skeptical after hearing this. He had seen the 3-headed dog before, and it was very difficult to deal with. Of course, but it may not work now. I asked someone to strengthen it. Strengthen? What do you mean? After coming out of the Pig's Head bar, the black-robed wizard became very depressed. Not only did he lose a dragon egg this time, but he also didn't get a way to deal with a 3-headed dog. Later, he wanted to take the dragon egg away while Hagrid was asleep, but he didn't expect Hagrid to hold the dragon egg tightly even when he was asleep. Master, what should I do now? I don't have the money to buy you those materials on the black market anymore. Since being parasitized, Quirrell has to go to Nocturne Alley to buy a batch of unicorn blood every once in a while. He failed to capture Moon last time, so he could only obey orders and turn his target to Hagrid. That dragon egg has drained his family's wealth. Don't worry, didn't you hear Hagrid say that there are a large group of unicorns in the Forbidden Forest? Hearing the cold voice behind him, the black-robed wizard opened his eyes wide in fear. Master, no, that will be infected. Infected with a curse? I'm the one who sucks it, not you. What are you afraid of? But this is my body, Humph. Don't worry, as long as it succeeds this time, I will naturally help you remove the curse. Don't forget my identity. Okay, everything is up to the master's orders. Hearing that his master would help remove the curse, Quirrell was reluctant, but he could only agree helplessly. But, master, what should we do with the 3-headed dog? It was already very powerful, and now it's strengthened by Moon Scarlett. It's totally beyond my ability to deal with. Moon Scarlett is such a fascinating little lion. Since the original method doesn't work, we can only. While the man and the soul were talking about Moon, the little wizard they were talking about was already ready to go to the Ministry of Magic to attend the awarding dinner. Chapter 232 A Puzzling Invitation. 3 days passed before the Aurors stepped up their daily patrols in Diagon Alley. Looking at the law enforcement teams in groups of 3 or 4, as well as some wizards who were obviously plainclothes Aurors, Moon finally left the bar with peace of mind. To attend the dinner, in order not to look so abrupt, Moon went to Madame Malkin's robe store and spent 80 gold galleons to customize a mid-range black evening gown. Hearing that Moon was going to the Ministry of Magic to attend Professor Snape's award ceremony, Madame Malkin also gave him a blue bow tie for free. At 6 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, after packing up all his things, Moon came to the remote red telephone booth alone. Because it was his first time in the Ministry of Magic, Moon could not use the fireplace of the leaky cauldron to transmit through the Flu network, so he could only go through another channel. After entering the shabby telephone booth, Moon dialed the number 62442, Magic. Welcome to the British Ministry of Magic, please tell me the reason for your visit. A gentle female voice suddenly came from the telephone booth, and the voice was very close, as if it was opposite. Invited to attend Severus Snape's investiture ceremony, Moon shouted blankly into the phone booth. Okay, please take your pass, the elevator will go directly to the main hall on the 8th floor. As soon as the female voice fell, a silver badge fell out of the coin return slot of the phone. At the same time, the phone booth fell rapidly. When the door reopened, Moon finally arrived at the Ministry of Magic in a real sense. Come here, kid, who are you with? Where are your parents? Outside the elevator, a Ministry of Magic employee wearing a gray worksuit and long brown hair was checking the invitation letters of each wizard. Seeing Moon coming down from the phone booth alone with a pass in his hand, he waved and motioned Moon to come over. I came alone, this is my invitation letter. Moon walked over quickly and took out a card that Fox brought him. One person, really, Albus? No, why do you have Professor Dumbledore's invitation? Oh, the headmaster asked me to come on his behalf. Really? The brown-haired wizard no longer doubted after seeing the words written by Dumbledore on the invitation. He handed the invitation back to Moon with both hands, and then patted the little wizard on the shoulder. This viewing seat is a bit forward, I wish you good luck. Watching the ceremony, what do you mean? Isn't it just to have a good meal here? Moon had no idea that the Ministry of Magic would not only hold a dinner today, but also hold an awarding ceremony for Snape before the dinner. At that time, all the invited wizards would watch from fixed seats. Yes, you can have a good meal, but that will be later. Next, please show your invitation. Seeing another wizard rushing over, the brown-haired wizard immediately got back to work. Moon had no choice but to enter the main hall of the Ministry of Magic to visit. Although it was underground, the decoration was very luxurious. The dark wooden floor was polished to a mirror-like shine. The peacock blue ceiling was inlaid with glittering golden symbols, which kept changing and moving, like a huge bulletin board hanging in the air. There were many gilded fireplaces on both sides of the main hall. At this time, 2s and 3s of Ministry of Magic staff appeared from the fireplace on the left and came here. Fortunately, I didn't bring Boomerang, otherwise it would definitely clamor to bring a fireplace back. Moon walked along the corridor to the center of the hall, where there was a fountain statue. A temporary viewing platform had been built under the fountain, and there was a half circle of chairs around the fountain statue, and each chair had the name of a wizard written on it. After coming to the first row and successfully finding Dumbledore's chair, Moon understood why the security guard just wished him good luck. The chair on Moon's right-hand side was written with Cornelius Fudge, and the one on his left-hand side was Amelia Susan Bones. One was the Minister of Magic, and the other was the Director of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. Isn't this a bit too abrupt? Moon took the invitation and looked at Dumbledore's seat with some trepidation. He had never thought about meeting these Ministry of Magic bigwigs. Don't worry, I think Dumbledore asked you to come for this position, a familiar and cold voice sounded, and Moon turned his head to look at Snape who appeared behind him. As the protagonist of tonight, his seat was arranged to the right of Fudge. Professor, are you okay? Looking at Snape with bloodshot eyes and pale face, Moon subconsciously cared about him. It's okay, I just studied potions these 2 days and was a little obsessed. After getting the snowberries from Moon, Snape plunged into his own research room. Because there was only one copy of the material, in order to make reasonable use of the snowberries, he flipped through a large number of ancient potion books. He found many potion refining methods with many loopholes and insufficient details. In the past 3 days, Snape was investigating and sorting out various refining methods day and night. Oh, Professor, You should take more rest." Hearing Moon's words, Snape snorted coldly with a nasal voice, and then sat down in his seat. "Professor, you just said that Headmaster Dumbledore asked me to come here for this position. What does that mean?" Seeing Snape sitting on the chair, closing his eyes and really preparing to rest, Moon hurriedly asked the doubts in his heart. "Don't ask me, only you know the answer to this matter." Snape closed his eyes tightly, and after he finished speaking, he tilted his head back slightly and dozed off on the back of the chair. "Ask me." Moon pointed at himself in confusion, and seeing Snape said nothing, he reluctantly put away the invitation letter, sat on the chair and began to think about Dumbledore's intentions. What's the point of being next to the top leaders of the Ministry of Magic? Although he didn't meet Dumbledore very often, Moon found that the headmaster just liked to design puzzles for people like this, and never said it clearly. Although he was disgusted with this way of communication, Moon knew that this old wizard with a white beard would not do anything meaningless, so he had to think deeply. Does it mean that Dumbledore knows everything? Moon thought back to what he had done in Hogwarts, and found that it was not enough to receive this front row invitation. But apart from these, all Moon had was the secret he was carrying. After saying this hypothesis, Moon felt a little relieved, but he was also a little scared. Being caught by the greatest wizard is no joke. But only if this hypothesis is true can everything be explained. A wizard from another world appeared in Britain. No matter how absurd it was. According to convention, it should be handled by the Ministry of Magic. But now Moon did not want to reveal his secrets, so Dumbledore chose such an opportunity to let him meet with the top leaders of the Ministry of Magic, even if it was just to make them familiar. Of course, this was just Moon's speculation. As for Dumbledore, he thought much more deeply than these. "Why, have you figured it out?" Seeing that Moon did not speak for a long time, Snape's voice sounded again. "Yes, think it through," Moon replied calmly, then stood up again and straightened his clothes. He was representing another world and attending the British Ministry of Magic dinner for the first time, so he couldn't lose face. "Oh, it seems that the headmaster is more thoughtful," Snape said helplessly and sighed. He actually wanted to know Moon's secrets, especially the source of those magical potion materials. But now it seems that the two wizards, one old and one young, are not going to tell others. It was after Moon straightened his clothes that the senior officials of the Ministry of Magic entered the venue, one after another. Chapter 233, Friendly Meeting of Senior Executives. Minister of Magic Cornelius Fudge is a short and fat wizard who is not very tall. He also wears a dark green round hat on his head, a pinstriped suit, a scarlet tie and purple pointed leather boots. After the minister appeared from the fireplace, several other high-ranking officials of the Ministry of Magic also appeared one after another. "I have to say, Professor Snape, your potion invention this time is really very good." Seeing that the people who were awarded the honors tonight had arrived in advance and were waiting, Fudge walked up and shook Snape's hand with satisfaction. "Thank you, Minister, but this is not an invention, but a potion improvement." Snape still had a serious face, and he always had the same expression no matter who he was with. "Oh, it doesn't make any difference. Whether it is an improvement or an invention, you are completely worthy of this medal," Fudge said and patted Snape's hand with satisfaction. In his opinion, Snape's newly improved potion can completely help him write a brilliant chapter in his political achievements. Fudge had just been the Minister of Magic for a year, and the Dark Wizard appeared in Diagon Alley twice. One was theft from Gringotts Wizarding Bank, and the other was the attempt to catch a little wizard on the street. Although neither of these two incidents caused much harm, it was a complete slap in the face for the newly appointed Minister of Magic. Even now, some wizards are saying that the Ministry of Magic led by Fudge is inefficient and cannot cope with the provocation of dark wizards. Provocation. That's right, someone is deliberately provoking. On the morning of the day when Moon was attacked, Fudge immediately cancelled the leave of Aurors. They were asked to complete the deployment in Diagon Alley within 3 days, and this time they must catch the Dark Wizard. But today is the third day, and the Aurors have not brought any good news. In order to dispel the rumors brought by the Dark Wizards, Fudge urgently needs a brilliant achievement to prove his ability. And Snape's potion just gave him the opportunity. For a long time, the dangers faced by British wizards are not just the rebellion of dark wizards. The mad werewolves on the night of the full moon have always been a headache for the Ministry of Magic. Now Snape's new version of Wolfsbane potion not only doubles the efficacy, but also reduces the cost a lot. It allows those poor werewolves who are hiding to have the opportunity to buy Wolfsbane potion, so that they can avoid chaos and harm wizards and muggles after they transform. Fudge believes that as long as this potion can be promoted, the probability of werewolves committing crimes will inevitably decrease, and his reputation will inevitably improve. Believe me, Professor Snape, your contribution is absolutely worthy of praise. When Fudge and Snape were talking, the chairs around them were gradually filled with people. Moon was also curiously listening to what the minister would say. Is this your child? He looks so beautiful, just like he came out of a fairy tale picture book. Noticing that the little wizard on Dumbledore's chair had not left, Fudge asked Snape with a smile. No, Minister, he came to the dinner instead of Professor Dumbledore. Hearing Snape's answer, Fudge looked at Moon suspiciously. I had guessed that Dumbledore was very busy, but I didn't expect that he couldn't leave Hogwarts during the Christmas holidays. It's really hard. Fudge flattered Dumbledore, then looked at Moon and smiled and stretched out his right hand. Hello, Dumbledore's little envoy. Hello, Mr. Minister, my name is Moon Scarlett. Scarlett, this is not a common surname in the UK, Fudge said, and began to recall whether there was a family named Scarlett in the UK, and the intention of Dumbledore's move. At this time, the witch sitting next to him looked over curiously after hearing Moon's introduction. Are you the little wizard who defeated the troll on Halloween, the owner of the 6 crowns? The speaker was the current director of the largest department of the Ministry of Magic, the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, Amelia Susan Bones. Yes, Mom. Moon didn't expect that Bengbeng's reputation would spread so far. Where's the 6-time champion? You didn't bring him today. Oh, Bongbong is resting at home. Hearing Moon's words, the middle-aged witch showed a trace of regret on her face. Well, it's a pity. I've always heard Susan say that she has a very powerful classmate who also has a magical niffler. I've always wanted to meet him, but I didn't expect that I still don't have the chance. Amelia's niece Susan Bones is in the same class as Moon and is studying at Hufflepuff College. This family is also a relatively old pure-blood wizard family in the UK. Next time I have a chance, I can bring Bongbong to visit you. Okay, it's settled. Remember to say hello to Professor Dumbledore for me. The high-level officials of the Ministry of Magic are relatively friendly. Moon can vaguely see that there seems to be a little gap between Susan Bones and Fudge, but they are very polite to Moon. Moon also met his classmates here. Moon Scarlet, why are you here? As a frequent visitor to the Ministry of Magic, Malfoy often follows his father to attend such ceremonies. He was dressed very gentlemanly tonight, like a proud black swan, moving among the crowd with ease. But when he found Moon, he became a little crazy. Of course I was invited, Moon responded politely. How is it possible? How can you, a person who can't even get a gold coin, be invited to the banquet of the Ministry of Magic? Moon didn't want to argue with Malfoy. He now represented Dumbledore and all the wizards in another world. He took out the invitation and waved it to Malfoy, who was sitting in the 3rd row. Moon sat in the center of the 1st row. First row? Is that a seat for a poor guy like you? As soon as Malfoy finished shouting, several wizards sitting in the 1st row turned around and looked at him. No, I didn't say you, Professor, and I didn't say you either. Just when Malfoy was trying hard to explain, the ceremony officially began. Fudge, as the Minister of Magic, first went on stage and delivered a long speech. The content was the positive changes he had brought to the Magic Society in the past year since he took office, as well as various political achievements that Moon had never heard of. The second stage was to invite Snape to the stage to award the medal. After a bronze medal with a green ribbon was pinned to Snape's chest, everyone applauded. After Snape also gave a brief speech, Fudge took the microphone again and spoke a long paragraph about the beautiful prospects for the future. Is this the awarding ceremony? It's so boring. Keep your voice down, child. Fudge is not very kind. Susan Bones, who was sitting next to him, smiled after hearing Moon's words. She was actually very reluctant to listen to Fudge's big speech, but as a qualified politician, she had to abide by the rules. Okay, thank you for reminding me. Moon now felt that Dumbledore was a likable speaker. He only said 4 words at the opening ceremony and won warm applause from all the students. But Fudge spoke for a long time, but there were only a few people who applauded, and a few older wizards had fallen asleep in the audience. After Fudge finished his speech, it was time for a group photo. Cheer up, everyone. This is big news that will be published in the Daily Prophet for 7 consecutive days, Fudge shouted to the crowd, then turned around and gave a standard smile. Moon sat in Dumbledore's seat and took his first photo with the top leaders of the British Ministry of Magic. Chapter 234, Traces of the Court Mage. Moon met all the high-ranking officials of the Ministry of Magic at this banquet. Except for Mr. Barty Crouch, the director of the Department of International Magical Cooperation, Moon met all the other 5 directors. The Department of Magical Accidents and Disasters, the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, the Department of Magical Traffic, the Department of Magical Sports and Games, and the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. Of course, Moon knew that the reason why these higher-ranking officials of the Ministry of Magic were willing to talk to him was entirely because of this invitation from Dumbledore. But Moon believed that in a few years, he would be able to achieve the same status with his own magical strength. After the award ceremony, it was time for the dinner. Many wizards, like Moon, were waiting for this moment. When Fudge announced that the banquet was about to begin, the wizards began to leave in an orderly manner. A group of house elves appeared in the main hall. They quickly moved away the unused tables and chairs, and then set up the dinner scene. After spreading a long dark red cloth on the long table, the house elves brought delicious food and wine. Grilled Scottish lamb chops, pan-fried red wine foie gras, pan-fried flounder steaks, caramel pudding. These delicacies are more advanced than those in Hogwarts, and the presentation is more exquisite. Moon, who has been eating bar staff meals for 3 consecutive days, couldn't help but show off a few more bites. Remember, you represent Dumbledore here, pay attention to your image. Just as Moon was eating the 5th lamb chop, Snape came over with a wine glass in his hand, pretending to be nonchalant. Professor, don't worry. If the headmaster was here, he would definitely encourage me to eat more and let me enjoy the food. Hearing Moon's words, Snape was stunned. Recalling Dumbledore's character, he felt that the other party might really say so when he came. While another wizard came to see Snape, Moon walked a little further away. Just now, the house elves brought another batch of Wellington steaks, which looked very delicious. Moon didn't know when the banquet was held that night. Because after enjoying the delicious food, he returned to the leaky cauldron through the fireplace on the right side of the hall, using flue powder. The bar was bustling late at night, and after saying hello to the owner Tom, Moon returned to his room to rest. In the next few days, Moon's life returned to normal. Because he couldn't use magic casually outside the school, Moon spent all his time practicing spells reading books. These books were all basic magic books that Moon bought from second-hand bookstores, and they were also treasures that he planned to bring back to the library of the Star Embers Island School of Magic. During this period, he also went to the zoo to visit Uncle Gaia, who had helped him in the past. After leaving the zoo, Moon also went to the Muggle second-hand bookstore to purchase a large number of books. Moon not only planned to bring back the magic experience of this world, but also the advanced technology of Muggles. In his opinion, the so-called science mastered by the Muggles in this world is no different from magic. In some aspects, it is even far superior to magic. The space in the suitcase has been doubled by Moon, and it can hold more things than before. After Moon returned to Xingjian Island on Sunday night, before he had time to take out the books, a wizard from the Xingmang tribe came to him. High Priest, the tribe received a letter from the Bailey Chamber of Commerce, which said that you must open it in person. My letter. Moon curiously took the envelope and found that there was no information about the writer on it, only his own name. He skillfully opened the envelope and took out 3 pieces of letter paper. Lynn Bailey? Why did she write to me? She doesn't want to learn new magic again, does she? Moon looked at the first page of the letter paper, which was densely written. Most of them were about Lynn Bailey's daily life, such as what she ate, dreaming about Moon when she slept, and her health getting better and better. After just a rough glance, Moon inserted the letter paper at the end. The second page had what Moon wanted. 2 days ago, a wizard in a red robe came to Mayor's Castle. Uncle Ryan received them very warmly. I wanted to listen to what they said, but was stopped by my uncle. Fortunately, my uncle's personal bodyguard hadn't got the news. He found me and wanted to remind you through the Chamber of Commerce. The red-robed wizard is looking for a young wizard who came to the archipelago from the mainland. Features, male, black hair and blue eyes, handsome, over 10 years old and under 15 years old, using a short wooden staff. Seeing this, Moon knew that this was the tale he left behind in Xilin. The red-robed wizard should be the court wizard of the Manila Empire, but why are they so persistent in looking for me? Moon is not afraid of a court wizard who goes out alone now. He is just curious about why the other party is so persistent. Thinking of this, Moon looked up at the wizard who delivered the letter. Han, please invite the 3 great wizards, And also ask someone to go to Xingguang Island to pick up Xilin and tell him that an old friend is here. Yes, High Priest, Han is the shaman of the Bengbeng tribe. His status is similar to Lang in the Xilin tribe. Wait, I remember there is a place for the outside chambers of commerce to stay temporarily on Xingguang Island, right? Yes, it's near Rihuport. Then please invite the head of Bailey Chamber of Commerce as well. Okay, I'll ask someone to invite him right away. Watching Han leave, Moon continued to read the letter that he had not finished reading. At the end of the second page of the letter, Lynn Bailey said something that had nothing to do with a court wizard. A mysterious organization that believes in the outer god has appeared on Salmon Island. What does this have to do with me? Lynn Bailey said in the letter that the organization is developing very fast, and all its members are ordinary people with difficult lives. On page 3, she attached the stone statues carved by these believers for the outer god. Moon turned to page 3 and saw a picture of a boy wearing a black wizard robe, a mask below his eyes, a divine bird squatting on his shoulder, and a small wooden stick in his hand. Is this me? Moon had no idea when he became an outer god again. He was a native of Xilin. After flipping the letter again and finding that there was no content, Moon became more curious. The divine bird on the shoulder was very similar to Bengbeng, and the magic wand appeared, which could already lock the identity. And Moon appeared in this image only when he dealt with the unbeliever Montoya. Could it be that the slaves on the ship? No one except them has seen me in this image. When Moon was thinking about how he could become an outer god, the three great witches hurried to Moon's room. Because it was a critical moment to build a school, the three great witches and Moon all lived in the Spirit Tree tribe. After hearing Moon's call, they quickly rushed over. Don't worry, High Priest, a small court mage dared to come to Xingguang Island, I can deal with it alone. After listening to the content of the letter from Moon, the Great Witch Xilin took the lead in expressing his position. Great Witch, don't worry, since this matter was caused by me, I will naturally solve it. In addition to calling the three of you here, there is another thing I need to discuss with you. What is it? In addition to the magic school, I also want to build a school for ordinary people to study. Chapter 235 The Great Witch's Decision. Moon had read in the history of magic class at Hogwarts that when the Muggle society developed to a certain level, it would inevitably conflict with wizards. This view was later confirmed by Professor Flitwick. Moreover, the professor also clearly pointed out at the time that it was the rapid development of the Muggles' musket technology that made the wizards fall into disadvantage in this fight, and later they had to hide themselves. Before going to the island, Moon knew that the craftsmen of the Manila Empire had invented flintlock rifles. Although the number of such firearms was not large, it also marked that ordinary people began to have the ability to hunt wizards. Now such things have not happened on a large scale, but Moon believes that it will not be long before a resistance movement against wizards will inevitably break out in Muggle society. Especially outside Xingguang Island, there are still a large number of wizards like the Faithless, who are still wantonly arresting and enslaving ordinary people, even conducting cruel magic experiments on them. Once these oppressed ordinary people get advanced muskets, the Faithless will be equivalent to reaching the end of the world. Moon did not plan to care about the life and death of the unbelievers, but if possible, he wanted to eliminate the contradictions between wizards and ordinary people. As the only alien magician studying abroad at Hogwarts, Moon improved not only his magic power there. He also had a vision far beyond that of all wizards of this era. Moon knew that advanced technologies such as musket manufacturing could not be suppressed at all. Even if some far-sighted wizards would stop or even destroy it, some people in power would not stop this wild horse for their own selfish interests. So Moon knew that the only thing he could do was to guide it so that this wild horse would not hurt anyone. Fortunately, the original life mode of the tribesmen on Xingguang Island laid a very good foundation for Moon to complete this idea. The wizards and ordinary people here have been very harmonious for thousands of years. Tribal wizards will take on various responsibilities such as medical care, sacrifice, education, and protection for the tribesmen. And ordinary tribesmen also trust tribal wizards very much, and they will also consciously take on various responsibilities such as tribal house construction, hunting and gathering, and herbal planting. Even if these experiences cannot be copied, they can be used as references by Moon to prevent a large-scale witch hunt that is likely to happen in the future. Of course, this is also the purpose of Moon adding the history of witchcraft to the curriculum of the newly built magic school. He does not want the magic he brought back to cultivate a group of wizards who only know how to pursue strength but forget how to get along with ordinary people. After hearing Moon's suggestion, The three great wizards became quiet one by one. Although they could not understand the books that Moon brought back this time, looking at the illustrations on them, they also knew that this must be a very powerful technology. A car that can run automatically, a big iron bird that can fly in the sky, and an iron burrow that can automatically dive into the deep sea. They simply cannot imagine how ordinary people can do things that cannot be done with witchcraft. High Priest, this is unlikely. How can ordinary people fly in the sky? After turning 2 pages of the popular science booklet brought back by Moon, the Star Wizard's hands couldn't stop shaking. He has studied the manufacture of witchcraft instruments for his entire life, but he has never thought of sending people to the sky. Yes, there are also these cars. If they can run so fast, what are the flying brooms for? The Great Witch Xilin also didn't believe that the pictures in the book were real. Ever since Moon brought back 5 flying brooms, he relied on his age to directly requisition one, and he would have fun in the sky every day before coming down. And now Moon told him that the cars made by ordinary people are faster than flying brooms. How could he believe it? Only the Great Witch Lingshu remained silent in the crowd. In fact, she had already seen the science and technology that Moon talked about yesterday. In order to increase the herb production of Xinjiang Island, Moon took out a method of making glass and wanted to build a herb greenhouse. Yesterday evening, the Great Witch Lingshu witnessed a tribesman burning glass with sand. Great witches, don't get excited first. These things in the picture will definitely not be done in the short term. It will take a lot of time to experiment, Moon said, pointing to the dozen or so high piles of books next to him. These are just the basics. Only after learning all the principles, the tribesman can make the iron bird and 4-wheeled vehicle you mentioned. Oh, that is to say, these books are the same as runes. It will take hundreds or thousands of years to make a complex magic array like the big iron bird. Listening to the explanation of the combination of Muggle science and magic by the great wizard Xilin, Moon nodded, and then shook his head. You can understand it this way, but it shouldn't take that long. After Moon bought these books from the Muggle bookstore, he read them all in the Leaky Cauldron. From a Muggle history book, he learned that it took only 300 years for ordinary people in another world to develop flintlock rifles and manufacture airplanes. It was during this period that the living area of wizards was compressed smaller and smaller, and flying brooms could not be used freely, and even had to hide later. Is that so? It seems that we must prepare early, the great wizard Bengbeng said, looking at the books beside Moon with a complicated expression. These completely incomprehensible books can not only bring a better life to the tribesmen, but also bury a powerful bomb for the wizards. If all the things in these books can be realized, it will inevitably pull the wizards down from their lofty position. No one can imagine what will happen then. Let's build a school. I believe in our people. Looking at the other 2 great wizards, Lingshu Great Wizard stood up with a cane after a long silence. We have lived safely for thousands of years. I don't believe that these external objects will cause the tribesmen to have a gap with the tribal wizards. Yes, even if we don't master these things, the so-called empires and federations outside will inevitably develop. By then, it will be too late to find a way to deal with them. Xingmang Great Wizard is the one who has the most thorough research on astrological laws and rune wizard formations among the 3. He knows very well that some things cannot be stopped by witchcraft. Since you all say so, I agree, but I still don't believe that ordinary people can defeat wizards. Seeing that the 3 great wizards have expressed their opinions, Moon breathed a sigh of relief. He thought about this move for a long time. Whether it is ordinary people launching a witch hunt or all wizards hiding in the future, this is not the result that Moon wants to see. But making such a decision will inevitably bring greater responsibilities. With the support of 3 great wizards, his confidence is even greater. Okay, since the 3 great wizards all agree, let's temporarily set up an experimental school on Xinjiang Island and select children from the tribe and veteran lane to study first. After discussing the construction of a new school, the person in charge of Bailey Chamber of Commerce was brought to the Spirit Tree tribe. This is a teenager who is only 14 or 15 years old. When Moon saw him for the first time, he saw the figure of Ryan Bailey in him. You are Moon Scarlett, the little wizard who ruined my plan. Chapter 236, The Court Mage's Shock. The person who entered the room was called Little Jan Bailey. He was sent to Xinjiang Island by his father last week. For Bailey Chamber of Commerce, Xinjiang Island is the most remote family business. Not only is there no prosperity like in big towns, but all merchants who come to the island are assigned to designated areas by the tribesmen and cannot leave without permission. For Little Jan, Coming here is no different from being in prison, so he is very resentful. However, he did not dare to vent his resentment on his father, so he could only point the spearhead at his father and the mysterious wizard who let him cling to him, Moon Scarlett. "You are so brave, you dare to call me that." Directly the tribal wizards standing next to him heard what little Jan said, and they wanted to come out and teach this ignorant kid a lesson. But Moon raised his hand to stop them. "I am Moon Scarlett, but what about the sabotage plan you mentioned? You don't even know this, and my father asked me to come to you." Xillin's tone became more and more rampant. Seeing that Moon didn't dare to attack, he thought that it was the strength of Bailey Chamber of Commerce that scared the other party. In the eyes of this young man, Xilin Island was just a group of country people gathered together, and it was not worth his time at all. "I almost got the power to manage Bailey Chamber of Commerce. If you hadn't saved Lynn Bailey, the entire Chamber of Commerce would have been mine now." After Xilin finished speaking, he waved his right hand at the guards behind him. "Otto, what are you waiting for? Come and kill him for me." The guards behind Xilin had already been dumbfounded. He had some killing skills, but they were okay for dealing with some ordinary pirates. Now there were more than a dozen tribal warriors outside the room, and those sitting inside were obviously all tribal wizards. He didn't know how his young master could say such ruthless words. "Master, watch your way of speaking. The other party may be the leader of the tribe. What's the point of watching your way of speaking? Throwing me on this godforsaken island and depriving me of my freedom. They should all be sent to the mines to dig until I die of old age." Every time little Lean said a word, the guard following him waved his hands and smiled bitterly. After hearing the word "die of old age," the guard was already trembling with fear. Seeing that little Lean still couldn't stop talking, Moon used a throat lock. He finally understood why Lean was a wizard of the Bailey family, but was not prepared to help his son take the position of the head of the Chamber of Commerce. According to the character of this little Lean, he might ruin all the wealth that the Bailey family had accumulated with great difficulty. After being hit by the spell, the room became completely quiet. Moon looked at the guard who was already sweating coldly with fear. "Don't worry about your young master. Tell me, has Mr. Ryan Bailey sent a letter?" "Yes, I just sent one yesterday." The guard was obviously more perceptive than little Ryan, and his attitude towards Moon was also very respectful. "Oh, what does the letter say, Mr. Ryan asked us to stay on the island, and then a ship will take us back in 2 days, that's all, nothing else." Yes, is that so? Then there's nothing else. Take your young master away." Hearing Moon's words, the guard didn't dare to go too far. He carried little Ryan, who was still gesticulating and unable to speak, and quickly left the room. Watching the other party leave, Moon fell into deep thought. He had some friendship with the Bailey family, but now Ryan Bailey obviously knew that the court wizard was looking for him, but he didn't send a letter to inform him. This shows that the other party has reached some kind of secret agreement with the court wizard and completely abandoned Moon. Similarly, for Moon, the wizard line of the Bailey family is no longer trustworthy. Moon had no intention of participating in the struggle of this family, but in order to obtain a stable trading partner, it is not impossible for him to help Lynn Bailey completely stabilize the family. Now, whether it is the materials needed for Moon's own potion making or the various materials needed for the development of Xilin Island, they are inseparable from a huge trade organization. And Bailey Chamber of Commerce is very suitable for Moon's needs. Of course, before that, the court mage must be dealt with first. According to what the guard just said, Lian's letter stated that he would pick up his son in 2 days. That is to say, the court mage will definitely land on the island during this period. That is, late at night on the second day, Moon was studying the herb of the spirit tree tribe, the burning soul grass. Then he heard a sound of the horn of the eagle conch from the southwest. The eagle conch is a shellfish that lives in the deep sea. The horn made of it can transmit the sound far away. So it has become the most basic communication tool for the tribesmen. After hearing the sound, Moon didn't think much, put down the herb, picked up the light wheel 2000 broom, and went out to fly away. However, in Moon, not long after taking off, horns also sounded in the west and north. 3. Moon flew in the sky and found that among the 3 directions, only the southwest had a magic battle, and the other 2 directions were only lit by the torches of the tribesmen, so he continued to fly to the southwest. Uriel Hansen was the court wizard who led the team to the Vina Islands this time. After the Bailey family got the exact news, he immediately drove the boat to the outside of Xilin Island. Because he knew that there were wizards of the tribe on the island, He asked his men to feint from the other two directions, and he sneaked in advance. But he never thought that he had just avoided the patrol of ordinary tribesmen and ran into 3 tribal wizards who seemed to be waiting for him here. When he just reacted and was about to cast magic, the 3 magic wands could no longer hold back and cast spells at the same time. Thunder Explosion is the only offensive spell that Moon has taught the tribal wizards now. After a week of continuous mountain bombing, every adult wizard can use this spell easily. Bang! 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 When the 3 loud noises ended, the court wizard was still standing there. There's something wrong with that robe. Moon had arrived when the tribal wizard cast the spell, but he was in the sky at that time, and the night covered it, so the people below didn't notice it. The court wizard was horrified when he saw the magic wand. He held up his red cloak in time to protect his whole body. The 3 thunder explosions only left a little burn mark on the robe, but it still had a defensive effect. At this time, the court wizard's magic was also ready. After the robe was put down, a huge flame flower bloomed instantly, and more than a dozen petals flew towards the 3 wizards with scorching heat. Lang, the leader of the 3 tribal wizards, discovered the clues in advance. He immediately put the magic wand back to his waist and quickly cast the magic, Tide Calling. Just when the flame petals were about to attack the 3 people, a huge wave appeared out of thin air in the sky and then roared down. The collision of water and fire produced a large amount of water vapor. Moon noticed in the sky that when the white gas appeared and blocked everyone's sight, the court mage in red robes disappeared instantly. Apparition? No, there's something wrong with that robe. Just as Moon was worrying about how to find the other party, Lang had already cast the Pray for Wind, and all the water vapor was blown away. Watch out behind you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237, The Battle Ends, An Unexpected Gain. The court mage did not really disappear. Instead, he took advantage of the moment when water and fire collided and produced water vapor, blocking everyone's sight, and then he quickly performed a short-distance displacement magic. That is, after Lang cast the Prayer for Wind, the wind whistled and all the water vapor was blown away. Moon found out a dark red magic figure appeared behind Lang at this time. The court mage had placed his hands on both sides of Lang's head, and silently recited an unknown spell. However, the court mage at this time did not expect that there were still enemies in the air. So when Moon's shout suddenly sounded above, the court mage was surprised and interrupted the spell. That is, at the moment when he was stunned, Moon cast 5 petrification spells in succession in the air. That is, when the spell was about to attack him, the strange red robe on the court mage flew up without wind and blocked the first 3 spells. Then the color of the robe became a little darker, and it fell straight down and stuck to the body, losing its protective function. The 2 spells behind all hit, and the court wizard was petrified on the spot before he could react. At this time, Lang was freed from the opponent's magic control, half knelt on the ground with his head covered, and let out a painful roar. Amun quickly landed from the flying broom and came to Lang's side. Are you okay? Lang, up, my head feels like it's going to explode. Hearing Moon's voice, Lang raised his head and showed a painful expression. I don't know what kind of magic the court wizard cast. Lang's eyes, ears, nose, and mouth are all bleeding, which looks very scary. But fortunately, Moon took action in time to interrupt the opponent, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. This seems to be the blood curse. Some tribesmen died under this kind of magic before. The 2 young wizards who followed Lang also ran over quickly at this time. When they found that Lang was bleeding from all 7 orifices, they remembered the miserable state of the tribal wizards who were cursed before. Blood-drawing curse is an evil magic mastered by the court wizard. It can control and guide the blood in the human body, destroy the original blood circulation, and make the blood flow out of the 7 orifices. Is it blood-drawing curse? I wonder why this person's method is so familiar. Hearing his companion's reminder, Lang wiped the blood on his face, observed carefully, and glared at the court wizard behind him fiercely. It turns out that it has always been you who stole our tribe's treasure house. Lang's pain was slightly relieved at this time. He took the torch handed by his companion and placed it in front of the court wizard. 2 stars, no wonder you are more ruthless than those demon cubs before. 2 stars refers to the pattern on the golden mask worn by the court wizard. The court wizards that Lang had fought before all had a star engraved on their masks. The only time 2 stars came to the island was when his father, the great wizard Xilin, drove the other party away. Moon didn't need these external appearances to judge the strength of the wizard. When he was flying in the sky, he had already discovered that the wizard bar on the head of the court wizard had 3.5 bars, while Lang had 3 bars. In addition, the magic robe on the court wizard was very strange, which made the 3 tribal wizards at a disadvantage in the fight. Although the court wizard had been petrified at this time, his mind was still working fast. He could have easily eliminated the 3 tribal wizards and then completed the task assigned by the chief. But when he saw Moon coming down from the sky with a magic wand in his hand, he knew that all his plans had failed. The difficulty of the task was far more difficult than he had imagined. He was originally going to take away Moon, who had a magic wand, but as soon as he fought with a tribal wizard, he saw 3 magic wands and was taken advantage of by the other party. Later, there was a voice coming from the sky, and he knew that he was going to fail. Flying. This is a very difficult magic for the court wizard, and a child can easily master it and cast spells in the air, which makes it a luxury for him to even escape. When Moon landed in front of him on a broomstick and saw his height and appearance, he finally understood the importance of his mission. But now it was all too late. High Priest, this man won't suddenly run away again, right? Lang was still afraid of the short-range displacement magic that the court mage had just used, and asked with some worry. My petrification spell can trap the other party for at least 2 hours, but just in case, I can add a few more. Moon said and cast 3 petrification spells, and 3 sleeping spells, on the court mage in succession. Then he ordered the tribal warriors to take off the court mage's robe, tie all his fingers tightly, block his mouth, and tie him up like a straight dumpling before he felt relieved. High Priest, you seem to be very proficient in this. Watching Moon instruct the tribal warriors on what to do step by step, Lang unconsciously took 2 steps back. Oh, this is the only way to ensure that the other party cannot cast a spell at all. While Moon and Lang were chatting, the battles in the other 2 places had already ended, and the tribal wizards also rushed to Moon. High Priest, it has been resolved. Brother Xilin's method is very effective. The 2 night owls have all been captured, and 2 of us have been slightly injured. After seeing Moon, the Starlight Wizard reported the results of the battle just now. That's good. Let the injured tribesmen go to the Spirit Tree Wizard to get medicine for their wounds. They will be healed tomorrow. In the letter sent by Lynn Bailey, Moon learned that the court wizard was accompanied by 2 warrior masters wearing black robes. Moon guessed that they were night owls. Because the tribal wizards had no experience in dealing with such people, he invited Xilin to the island. Facts have proved that his method is very correct. Only 2 young wizards were scratched on the shoulders and arms because they did not avoid the sharp long swords of the night owls. I wonder what's going on with the great witch Xilin. This time, Moon divided the tribal wizards on the island into 4 teams, led by 3 great wizards and Lang. The task of the great witch Xilin was to lead the fleet to intercept the ships brought by the court wizard and cut off the opponent's retreat. Don't worry, High Priest, since the court wizard has come to the island, there won't be any powerful people on the ship. It's very easy for my father to intercept a ship. Lang's spirit had recovered a lot at this time, and he patted his chest to assure Moon. Okay. Then take these 3 people down for trial and see what secrets they have. Okay, leave it to me. The Spirit Tree tribe has a plan that will make your whole body numb when you touch it. It can just be boiled into a potion to treat the 3 of you. The one who spoke was Lu Shaman from the Spirit Tree tribe. It was also the first time that Moon saw this witch, who is usually kind and generous, say such cold words. Okay, let Lu do the interrogation, and then the rest of you will be responsible for helping. Seeing that Moon didn't speak, the great witch Xingmang stood up in time. After watching Lu smile at Moon and bow and leave, the great wizard Xingmang explained in her low voice. Lu's husband is also a wizard. When the Red Robe Wizard came to the island to steal the treasure, he fought with the other party and died, so that's how it is. Then let's go back and wait for the results of the interrogation. In addition, Lang, you go to pick up the great wizard Xilin. After Moon and his party just returned to the Spirit Tree tribe, Lang also rushed back on a flying broom. High Priest, my father has ended the battle and captured a wizard named Brian Bailey on the ship. Chapter 238, Dream Magic, and Memory Recall. The battle that took place late last night was a brand new experience for the tribal wizards. In addition to the first time that all members used magic wands to fight, they also achieved results that had never been achieved before. Capture alive. In the past, when the court wizards landed on the island, they would often rely on their magic robes to break in recklessly. Even if they were besieged in the end, they could use the magic robes to move a short distance and then escape the encirclement. But this time, their displacement was seen clearly by Moon flying in the sky. Another point is that the speed of casting spells with magic wands is very fast, and the battle can be resolved in a very short time. This is what the great wizard Xilin did when intercepting ships at sea. He led 3 tribal wizards riding flying brooms in the air and indiscriminately bombed the large sailing ships of the court wizards at sea. Everyone fired 40 or 50 thunder explosions, and then the large sailing ship hoisted a white flag. While searching in the cabin, the experienced great wizard Xilin recognized the wizard hidden in the crowd at a glance. Then, this wizard unfortunately became the test subject of the first, leg-locking curse, of the great wizard Xilin. Mr. Bailey, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon, because Ryan Bailey kept shouting I know Moon Scarlett on the boat. He was taken to the tribal meeting hall alone. Mr. Scarlett, aren't you a fugitive wizard from the mainland? How come you have become the high priest of the tribe? Ryan Bailey was tied up at this time, and all his spell-casting tools were confiscated. Looking at Moon sitting right above the meeting hall, and several old wizards from the tribe sitting on both sides, Ryan Bailey felt like he had an absurd dream. It doesn't matter how I became a tribal priest. What's important is that Mr. Bailey is coming to Xilin Island as a guest. Why didn't you notify me in advance? I just want to give you a surprise. Living in a wealthy life of luxury since childhood, Ryan Bailey has never enjoyed the treatment of a prisoner. Seeing Moon, who had changed so much in just 1 month, Ryan Bailey began to stutter. Really? This is such a big surprise. Did the court mage promise you some benefits? After hearing Moon's clear statement, Ryan Bailey fell to the ground in fear. He had never thought that he had finally gotten close to the court mage of the Manila Empire, but it disappeared overnight. Looking at the dozen adult wizards standing in the room, Ryan Bailey remembered a sentence in the family manual that he had never understood before. Don't provoke the wizards on Xilin Island. Now he truly understood the meaning of this sentence, but it was too late. I am willing to surrender. I will give you whatever you want, including the Bailey Chamber of Commerce, Ryan cried and crawled towards Moon, but was stopped by Lang and Han. Since he has admitted it, let's lock him up first. Moon waved his hand, and 2 tribal warriors came out of the door and skillfully tied his hands and sealed his mouth, and then took Ryan Bailey away. High Priest, I have to say that the magic you taught us is still the most useful. Seeing that only his own people were left in the house, the great wizard Xilin was very happy to describe his glorious achievements to everyone. You didn't see it. Riding a flying broom and using a magic wand to hit from the sky to the ground was as easy as stepping on an ant. The huge 3-masted sailing ship was blown up by us in less than 10 minutes, because the number of flying brooms brought back by Moon was limited, and this time the great wizard Xilin was fighting outside the island. 4 of them were allocated to him. When the other wizards heard such a description, they also showed envious eyes. Next time I also want to try flying in the sky? Yes, that feeling must be very cool. Listening to the speeches of the tribal wizards, Moon looked at the great wizard Bengbeng next to him. Because this great wizard was good at making magic tools, Moon put a flying broom with him and asked him to study and make it. Great wizard, how is the research on the flying broom and the magic wand going? It's still under research, because some magic concepts are completely different from witchcraft, and it may take some time. In order to study these 2 magical creations, the Star Wizard studied the magic books brought back by Moon every day. He really couldn't understand some magic concepts, but the effects were there, so he had to believe that it was real. Forced to do so, the Star Wizard could only use the dumbest method, rote memorization. Okay, if there are any problems that you really can't figure out, you can also bring them out and discuss them together, okay? After the 2 finished speaking, they looked at the tribal wizards who were still discussing in the room. Through this battle, they all found that the new magic taught by the high priest was much more useful than the original witchcraft. Even some young wizards thought that tribal witchcraft was no longer necessary to learn. What are you talking about, little bastard? Tribal witchcraft is our root, how can we give it up? Hearing this, the great wizard Xilin angrily rebuked everyone. The young wizards shut up one after another, and the room suddenly became much quieter. Actually, the great wizard is right. Tribal witchcraft also has very powerful aspects, but you haven't studied it thoroughly yet. Seeing that the atmosphere was gradually becoming a little wrong, Moon stood up and explained with a smile. Just like the tide calling spell and wind prayer spell performed by Shaman Lang are very powerful, and they also saved 2 young wizards last night. Yes, Lang used tide calling spell to help us block the fire magic attack of the court wizard last night. The 2 young wizards who were rescued also stood up and spoke at this time. So you still have to learn tribal witchcraft. In the future, I will study how to combine tribal witchcraft with new spells. If you give up tribal witchcraft now, you may not be able to understand the new spells thoroughly in the future. Hearing Moon's words, the young wizards nodded one after another. Great Wizard Highland was also relieved. Although they knew that the tribe's inheritance of no witchcraft had been cursed, the 3 great wizards did not want these inheritances to be broken in their hands. As for what Moon said, it was completely sincere. Whenever he had free time during this period, Moon would study these ancient witchcraft. Among them, he put the most effort into the 3 witchcrafts of the Star Tribes, Dream Magic, the Spirit Tree Tribes, Beast Exorcism Spell, and the Xilin Tribes, Wind Prayer Magic. According to the explanation on the tribal witchcraft stone carvings, Dream Magic allows the caster to enter other people's dreams, or directly create special dreams in the target's mind. It is a means to torture, confuse, and influence the enemy in sleep. Of course, Moon did not learn this witchcraft to tease others in dreams. Instead, he found that this witchcraft helped him improve memory recall. Moon's current brain magic can only use his excellent memory to recall what happened in the past. But this function is too single and not very useful to Moon. After seeing the introduction of Dream Magic, Moon had a direction for the next transformation of his memory recall magic. The caster uses his own magic as a medium to connect with the target's spiritual world, and then manipulate its perception and consciousness. What Moon wants is not just memories, but to manipulate everything in the spiritual world. Chapter 239 The Origin of the Blood Robe. The wizards of the Bengbeng tribe have always been responsible for various festivals and sacrifices in the tribe. Among them, dream magic is often used in sacrificial ceremonies, so that all the tribesmen participating in the sacrifice can feel the protection of their ancestors. As for Beast Drive spell, it is used by the wizards of the Lingshu tribe to help the tribesmen drive away the birds and beasts that destroy the fields and crops. It is a spell that can be used on a single animal or on a range of animals. Wind Prayer Magic is the starting point for the Xilin tribe to learn witchcraft, and it is often their most skilled means to deal with the enemy. When Moon N was studying these 3 witchcrafts, he found that the wizards of the tribe excessively pursued the power of these witchcrafts and shortened the time of casting. They rarely considered the underlying principles of witchcraft. Moon N had asked the 3 great wizards about this question, and they all thought it was unnecessary. Just say that it is something left by the ancestors, there must be nothing wrong, just practice it. Moon N, who has received Hogwarts education, would not think so, especially since he has also read the forbidden book about spell dismantling. So when learning witchcraft, Moon was more willing to understand the underlying principles of these witchcraft. Of course, this also led to Moon's slow learning of witchcraft. So far, he could only summon a breeze with the most proficient, Wind Prayer. As for the remaining 2, they were just barely able to be used and had no power. On the afternoon of the second day, Lu Shaman lived up to everyone's expectations and got the results of the interrogation. However, the young wizards who followed her were all scared, and they were still in shock about what had just happened. Last night, when the court wizard and night owl were caught, they were still very unconvinced. After the effect of the sleeping curse disappeared, the court wizard kept cursing loudly in the imperial language. Although the tribal wizards didn't understand, they were very angry when they saw the other party's arrogant appearance. Until the court wizard was forced to drink the magic potion brewed by Lu Shaman himself, the situation changed. As soon as the potion entered his throat, it was like a stream of boiling fire, flowing down his throat and began to burn his esophagus. The court mage suddenly opened his eyes, his pupils contracted sharply, and he let out a heart-wrenching scream. Then his body instantly bent like a shrimp, his face turned red, like a ripe tomato, and the veins on his forehead popped out like twisted earthworms. Then, the potion exploded in the court mage's stomach, and a burst of severe pain was like thousands of steel needles piercing at the same time, stirring his internal organs as if they were about to shift. White foam kept pouring out of his mouth, and his teeth were clattering, as if they were going to break their teeth. Don't worry, the effect of this thorny grass is only 1 hour, as long as you can hold on. Seeing that the court mage was in great pain and curled up in a ball, Shaman Lu kindly explained beside him. However, she had just given the court mage a little hope, and then she took the initiative to extinguish it. Of course, in order to prevent the potency from being insufficient, I boiled a whole pot, which should be enough for you to eat for a month. Hearing what Lu Shaman said, the court mage's eyes suddenly widened, and the whites of his eyes were showing signs of turning outward. In the end, the court mage didn't even make it through the first bowl of magic potion, and wanted to confess. However, Lu Shaman was worried that he was lying, so he made him drink 3 bowls in a row. In the end, the court mage's voice became hoarse, and his screams turned into weak moans. He no longer had the strength to roll over, but only twitched occasionally, and his eyes gradually became blurred and lost focus. Lu Shaman had no choice but to use the Spirit Tree Tribe's plant healing technique to make the court mage more sober, and then poured another bowl of medicine before he began to ask questions. As for the 2 night owls, perhaps because they had received inhuman training since childhood, they relied on their bodies to make it through 3 bowls of magic potion. But later they still couldn't help but use the witchcraft specifically for treating injured plants. Plant healing technique is the witchcraft that Lu Shaman has mastered the most. It can accelerate the healing of injured plant wounds and stimulate regeneration. The same effect is applied to humans, causing excessive growth or abnormal shapes. The skin will grow structures similar to plant roots or leaves, the bones will become fragile or twisted like plant fibers, and the muscle tissue may be invaded and gradually fibrotic. Few people can bear such pain. After arriving at the meeting hall, the young wizards who were responsible for assisting Lu Shaman took the initiative to keep their distance. Now they will no longer think that the other party is the most gentle and kind woman on Xinjiang Island. High Priest, those 3 people have said everything, and I have someone recorded on paper. Lu became very quiet after coming in, as if nothing had happened. The great wizard of the Spirit Tree seemed to have known it for a long time, and called Lu Shaman to his side, and comforted him softly. Uriel Hansen, the Grand Mage of the Court of the Manila Empire, was assigned by the Chief Mage to find a young man with strange magic. Through the description of the captured magician, Moon knew that they were looking for him, but the following paragraph surprised him a little. It doesn't matter whether the wizard lives or dies, but the wand must be brought back. They don't think my magic comes from the wand, do they? Hearing Moon's question, Lu adjusted her makeup after crying and stood up. From their description, it's like this. They don't think that the magic power of a child can destroy a night owl, so they think you must have a magic treasure. Magic treasure. Moon shook his head and smiled, but thinking about the style of the court wizards, he could understand it. The magic mastered by this group of people is actually not much different from the tribal witchcraft, but they have a lot of magic robes and various strange and weird potions that overdraft the body. These external objects can indeed provide assistance in battle, but Moon does not rely on these. By the way, what's the matter with their magic robes? Thinking of this, Moon naturally became curious about the robes on the court wizards. Not only can they resist spell attacks, but they can also take them for short distance displacement, and they also have the effect of invisibility. This seems to be more advanced than Moon's invisibility cloak. This content is on the 3rd page. According to Uriel Hansen, the court wizards raise a creature called blood demons. When they grow up, they can be skinned and made into clothes. While Lu was explaining, Moon also saw the content on the 3rd page. Blood demons are slender, terrifying, and extremely bloodthirsty magical creatures. Their skin has a certain magic resistance property like the giant monsters, which can resist spell attacks. In addition, they can become invisible at night, but this invisibility ability is not a simple visual disappearance, but they can distort the surrounding light, making it difficult for the enemy to find them. This invisibility ability lasts for a short time and must be used at night. As for the short-range displacement magic, the court wizards engraved a magic circle on the magic robe, which can use the magic on the robe to allow the wearer to travel a distance. It turns out that there are so many restrictions. It seems that it is not as good as my invisibility cloak. The magic robe of the court wizard is very difficult to make, but in comparison, the materials are even more difficult to obtain. The blood demon has been all white since birth and needs to be fed with human blood every day. It will take 10 years to turn black. This is the material of the robe of Night Owl. After feeding on human blood for 30 years, the blood demon's body will turn completely red, and only then can a qualified magic robe be made. Seeing this, Moon's original intention to try to wear it was gone. Chapter 240, Spiritual Shackles. The spoils obtained in this battle are more than just a magic robe. There are also 2 bottles of magic potions, a ring for auxiliary spellcasting, and 5 spells: blood drawing spell, piercing spell, flying blade spell, shadow flash spell, and psychedelic spell. Of course, the magic mastered by the court mage is far more than these, but the other magics overlap with what Moon has seen before. Most of them are combat-type spells. Moon handed all the spells to the Star Elder and asked him to collect them into the school library. One of the 2 bottles of magic potions is the antidote to control, Night Owl, and the other is a healing potion. Moon looked at the quality of the potion and found that it was not as good as the hemostatic potion he made. As for the auxiliary spellcasting ring, it is different from the one seized from the unbelievers before. In addition to the strange shape, the most intuitive difference is that this ring will actively absorb the blood of the wearer. According to the court mage, the ring can increase the power of the spell by drinking blood. And the longer it is worn, the more blood it drinks, the more it understands the wearer's mind, and the faster it can cast spells. Moon didn't have any idea about this ring. Anyway, no matter how fast the magic of the court wizard is, it can't be faster than him. Great Wizard, do you have any other arrangements for the court wizard? The 3 great wizards also got the confession copied by Moon. What they were most concerned about was why this group of wizards came to the island to steal. But the wizard named Uriel Hansen didn't know it very well. He only knew that coming to Xilin Island was all arranged by the chief wizard. Since this person doesn't know the whole story, we can only detain him first, and then we still have to strengthen the defense of the island. Some time ago, because of the construction of the school, all the wizards participated in it, and the defense of Xilin Island was naturally sloppy. After this lesson, Moon also felt that it was necessary to restore the previous patrol mechanism. However, it was still a bit unsafe for the wizards to just detain. Whether the magic they mastered was forgotten, whether there would be something like a curse, all these needed to be prevented. However, just as Moon and raised such concerns, the Starlight Great Wizard stood up and made a promise. Don't worry, High Priest, there is a kind of witch formation in the tribe called Spirit Forbidden Shackles. As long as it is engraved on the wizard, it can ensure that the other party cannot cast any magic. Is it really possible? Just engraving a magic circle can make the wizard become like an ordinary person. Moon N was still a little unbelievable. He still had 2 unbelievers tied up in the Scarlet Moon. Because he had not figured out how to deal with them, he had been detained on the ship. Don't worry, High Priest, there will be no problem. In the past, the tribe used it to punish wizards who made mistakes. The Starlight Great Wizard took out a method of drawing the Spirit Forbidden Shackles, witch formation. According to the records in this booklet, Spirit Forbidden Shackles belongs to the oldest inheritance of tribal witchcraft. To cast it, it is necessary to mix the juice of the shadow binding vine with the star sand, and then use the soul prisoner flower as a pen to engrave the formation pattern on the wizard. As long as the engraving is successful, it can interfere with and block the connection between the wizard and the external magic energy. It makes it impossible for wizards to call upon their own magic power, making it impossible to cast various magic spells and spells. It's like building an invisible wall between wizards and magic, sealing their magic abilities in their bodies. Sealing magic is really rare. It seems that we can't underestimate the ancient magic of this world in the future. Moon originally thought that the development of magic in this world was not very advanced, but now it seems that they still have their own strengths. Well, in addition to the court wizard, there is also Ryan Bailey, and I will have someone send 2 prisoners later. I will trouble the Great Wizard to cast the sealing magic, since there is a good way to deal with the wizard prisoners. Moon does not want to leave hidden dangers on the ship. Okay, I don't know how to arrange them after sealing. Let them build a school. Even if they can't use magic and work slowly, they should atone for their sins. After arranging all the prisoners' affairs, Moon let everyone leave. Those who should study, those who should build schools, those who should patrol, and those who should rest. After a busy night, Moon was also very tired. After a good rest for a day, Moon took Lang away from Xilin Island after giving all the wizards a transfiguration class and leaving 10 inches of homework. 3 hours later, in the sky above Salmon Island, Moon and Lang rode on the flying broom and began to prepare for landing. High Priest, I think I can use the flying broom wherever I go in the future. Because Lang was still fresh about the flying broom, When he heard that he would go out of the island with a high priest to perform a mission, he relied on a duel to win this opportunity. But Moon couldn't stand it now. Riding a flying broom was originally a very relaxing thing. Not only can you enjoy the high-speed flight, but you can also see the scenery along the way. But if it is in winter, and it is still flying at high speed, it will be a completely different situation. It's too cold, but the speed of the flying broom is really fast. It originally took Moon a day to sail from Solomon Island to Xingjian Island. This time it only took 3 hours to come back. This is because the sky is too cold, and Moon deliberately suppressed the speed. It's really fast to use a flying broom on the islands, but if you want to go to the mainland or further, it's a bit of a torment for wizards. Moon didn't tell the tribal wizards that there was magic that could be used for long-distance transmission. Both the portkey and apparition are much faster than the flying broom. But there's no need to rush now, the flying broom is enough. While the two were still talking, the guards in the castle on the ground began to shout. Look, what's that in the sky? The tail of this bird is so big. No, it's not a bird, it's a person. Seeing the two people in the sky getting closer and closer, the guards were so surprised that they forgot their duties. Flying wizards, but there were also some smart ones who turned around and ran towards the castle after seeing the appearance of the leading wizard. Moon had just landed on the square in front of the castle, and Lynn Bailey had also been notified and walked out of the castle. After seeing Moon, Lynn was surprised at first. Then quickly walked forward, lifted her skirt, half knelt and saluted. Mr. Scarlett, welcome to the Mayor's Castle again. I welcome you on behalf of the Bailey family. Thank you, Miss Bailey, but can we go in and talk? It would be best if we had a cup of hot tea, of course. Please come in. After drinking hot tea and exchanging pleasantries, Moon told the reason for returning to Mayor's Castle this time. Thank you very much for Miss Bailey's letter. I came here to return the gift, Moon said as he took out a gold watch from his pocket. This is, seeing that there were still many servants around, Lynn Bailey waved her hand and asked them all to retreat. Will he come back? Lynn Bailey was in a very uneasy mood now. She originally just wanted to write a letter to inform Moon about the court wizard, so that she could increase Moon's favor towards her a little. But she didn't expect that her uncle would fall into the hands of the other party. Think about it, a month ago, the little wizard in front of him still needed the help of the Bailey Chamber of Commerce, but now he has directly detained the head of the Bailey family. Not for now. Mr. Ryan Bailey must be responsible for what he did, but Mr. Ryan will return with the ship in a few days. Hearing Moon's answer, Lynn Bailey covered her chest with worry. Oh, I don't care, little Ryan. I don't know what price I can pay to keep my uncle there forever. Listening to Lynn Bailey's words, Moon frowned. He had long guessed that the family's affairs were very troublesome, but he didn't expect it to be so messy. It's hard for me to answer this question. Maybe if Mr. Ryan really repents, I might let him go. After Moon finished speaking, Lynn Bailey's eyes flashed with something strange, and I don't know what he was thinking. Moon was not in a hurry. He took another sip of tea and said, I don't know what the outer god cult that Miss Bailey mentioned is about. Chapter 241 Pirates and Dependents. Moon came to Solomon Island this time, in addition to expressing his gratitude to Lynn Bailey, to find out what this so-called outer god religion is all about. According to Lynn Bailey's description in the letter, the idols believed in by this new sect are very similar to Moon. He came here this time to find out the whole story. I only heard about the outer gods from the servants at home, but it is a bit difficult to find out how. Why? Has this sect been wiped out by the Archons? The Gracia Federation has Archons in each region to manage the people. There were also Archons on Solomon Island, but after the non-believers seized the right to rule the island, the Archons became the people. But no matter which faction the Archons belong to, they must pay close attention to the beliefs of the people under their rule. It's not that these wizards don't allow the people to have their own beliefs, but they are very aware of the power of this belief. The existence of the Holy Church is a very good example. They used faith to control an entire continent. It's not just to clean up. It is said that many pirates are also tracking the believers of this new sect, and the price they offer is much higher than slaves. Pirates, how come they are involved again? Moon has not been in the Vina Islands for a long time, but he also knows that the pirates here are very rampant. He encountered a pirate who wanted to kill him with a flintlock, but he was finally solved by himself. He was thinking of taking time to find some pirates to practice, but he didn't expect to meet them here again. I don't know why the pirates bought the believers of the new sect anyway. Now that the Archons and pirates are rounding up, This new sect has completely hidden. When Moon asked about the Outer God cult, Lynn Bailey noticed that Moon was different. Although she had long guessed that this sect had a great relationship with Moon, there was no sufficient evidence. Now that Moon was concerned, she immediately changed the name of the Outer God cult. Okay, then I wonder where this new sect is active? I want to check it out. Moon didn't have much affection for this new sect. He was just worried that this was really a problem left over from his eradication of the unbeliever Montoya. He rescued a lot of slaves from the ship, and the statue looked very much like him. If the unbelievers really had a way to find these slaves, then for the safety of Moon himself and the people in Veteran Lane, he had to get rid of this tale. It's in Xilin City. I heard that the governor there arrested a group of people who believed in Protestantism. In order to prevent people from believing in Protestantism again, the governor planned to publicly burn these people to death in 7 days. Xilin City is the main city of Salmon Island. Although Moon has never been there, he has heard that it is very prosperous. The city is very close to Mayorzu Castle, and it takes less than half an hour to ride a flying broom at full speed. Thinking of this, Moon looked at Lang, who was sitting next to him. This tribal shaman was leaving the island for the first time, and at this time he was still immersed in the various delicacies and snacks of the Bailey family. It seems that we have to go to another place. Okay. Lang swallowed a snack hard and looked at Moon. I will go wherever the high priest says to go. Moon nodded, and just as he was about to leave, Lynn Bailey, who was sitting opposite him, suddenly stopped him. High priest, you have become the high priest of Xinjiang Island. Lang and Moon communicated in tribal language, a language that few people outside Xinjiang Island would learn. However, Lynn Bailey had learned 7 or 8 languages, including tribal language, in order to manage the family business in her early years. Yes, is there any problem? Moon asked frankly. What is the problem? There's a big problem. Lynn Bailey showed an unbelievable expression, her mouth opened wide, and her eyes kept staring at Moon. Since Moon discovered that she had a wizard talent, Lynn Bailey has read all the wizard manuals in the family. In the process of reading, she learned a lot of wizard secrets. The court wizards of the Manila Empire, the spellcasters of the Federation, the unbelievers who invaded the Vina Islands 30 years ago, the family wizards who need to rely on various parties, and the magicians who are hiding from place to place. The most mysterious of them is the tribal wizard on Xinjiang Island. Although the spellcaster nominally rules the Vina Islands, he has never obtained the right to rule Xinjiang Island. And now a little wizard who has just arrived in the archipelago for less than a month has become the leader of the most mysterious organization. How could Lynn Bailey not be surprised? How did you do it? Could it be that the tribal wizards are waiting for you? Lynn Bailey originally wanted to ask if the tribal wizards were deceived by Moon, but when she saw Lang next to her showing a ferocious expression, she quickly changed her statement. Moon originally wanted to explain, but she didn't expect Lynn Bailey to guess the answer herself. Yes, the great wizards are waiting for me. Lynn Bailey was stunned for a moment. She thought Moon was teasing her. But these are not important. Think about Moon's ability to refine new potions and distinguish other people's magical talents. These will sooner or later be discovered by those who are interested and treated as guests of honor. But I didn't expect it to come so quickly and so suddenly. Thinking of this, Lynn Bailey felt a strong sense of regret again. If she had known earlier, she should have learned magic from Mr. Scarlett. Now, maybe she could have tried to fly in the sky. But now it's too late. Ryan Bailey was imprisoned on Xinjiang Island by Moon. The Bailey family needs a person who can stabilize the situation. And the most suitable person is of course Lynn Bailey. But no one can predict whether misfortune is the beginning of the next good luck. Mr. Scarlett, since you have become the High Priest of Xinjiang Island, I don't know what kind of help the Bailey family can provide you. As a qualified businessman, Lynn Bailey knows very well. If you want to get what you need, you always have to give items of corresponding value. Now that the strongest magician of the Bailey family has been detained, she doesn't want him to come back, so all she can do is to rely on Moon and the forces behind him. Especially now that there are wars everywhere and the Vina Islands are no longer safe, families like them must learn how to survive. Aren't we cooperating well? You also promised me that I will get discounts when buying supplies from you. In fact, most of Moon's good impression of the Bailey Chamber of Commerce comes from the discounts offered by the other party. He has always believed that this is a very good cooperation model. However, Lynn Bailey obviously thinks that such a relationship is not enough. She smiled again and said, in fact, our cooperation can be deeper. Bailey Chamber of Commerce will definitely be able to provide greater help to Xingjian Island. After seeing Moon's growth rate, Lynn Bailey wanted to put the entire family's business on Moon. When Ryan Bailey was here, the Bailey family pursued the method of making friends with all parties and not offending anyone. But now this method is no longer effective. The unbelievers have issued orders to their family several times. Let the entire Bailey family surrender, otherwise they can only rob. The reason why Ryan Bailey helped the court mage to go to Xingjian Island was to use the strength of the court mage to scare off the unbelievers. Now that this plan has failed and the family's strongest magician has been detained, Lynn Bailey can only think of other ways. Fortunately, Moon came at this time and became the High Priest of Xingjian Island. Lynn Bailey has a way to solve the current family dilemma. Dependence. Only by completely relying on the wizard of the Xingjian Island tribe can the Bailey family avoid this crisis. Chapter 242 Crisis and Regret. When Lynn Bailey proposed to attach to Xingjian Island, not only Moon, but also Lang beside him was shocked. Although the tribal wizards also live on the Vina Islands, they are like recluses and never participate in the outside world. This time Lang went out of the island as a shaman, and it was also the first time that the tribal wizard took the initiative to contact the outside world. Unexpectedly, after just 2 words, a large chamber of commerce wanted to attach to him. Lang had no experience in this area, and he could only look at Moon helplessly. Moon was actually helpless. Although he had more strange experiences than others, he had never dealt with an incident where a chamber of commerce wanted to attach to him. Moreover, the Xingjian Island Magic School has not been built yet, and the teaching of new magic has just begun, and someone wants to attach to him again. Moon was a little worried that his power would expand too quickly. Ms. Bailey, you don't have to do this at all. We can still cooperate according to the method we agreed before. No. Hearing Moon's words, Lynn Bailey shook her head hurriedly. I said to be attached, but actually I want the tribal wizard to save the Bailey family. If you, Mr. Scarlett, don't take action, our entire family will be finished. Lynn Bailey's eyes gradually turned red as she spoke, and a trace of moisture wanted to come out of her eyes. What's going on? Did you provoke any enemies? Although Moon had not been in contact with the Bailey family for a long time, he knew that the family's assets and power were considerable, and their social connections were very extensive. Whether in the Vina Islands or on the mainland, they had business coverage. It's not the enemy we provoked, but the faithless who wanted to nex us. Seeing that Moon didn't understand, Lynn Bailey began to talk about their affairs with the faithless from the beginning. Originally, after the faithless occupied Salmon Island, they did not suppress the local wizard forces, but had always been recruiting them. Especially for local forces like the Bailey family that have good relations with various wizard organizations, the attitude that the faithless has always adopted is to win over and cooperate. However, as the faithless gradually gained a foothold in the Vina Islands, they began to plunder magic resources wantonly, which inevitably led to conflicts with the local wizard families. Originally, the faithless wanted to cooperate with the Bailey family, and the last time they rescued the poisoned Lynn Bailey was a good entry point. But unexpectedly, their potion master never showed up, and later was even disturbed by Moon. Then the faithless was defeated by the spellcaster on Orm Island, and both wizards and various magic resources were lost. So after the battle to seize the island, the faithless, who urgently needed to restore their strength, set their sights on the wealthy Bailey family. They placed 3 wizards in the Bailey family on the grounds that Montoya disappeared. In name, it was to cooperate in finding the missing Montoya, but in fact it was to obtain all the business resources of the Bailey family. In order to get rid of this predicament, Ryan Bailey was willing to take the court wizard to Xingjian Island, but the result was not very good. Now all the burdens of the entire family fall on Lynn Bailey, and she is naturally no match for the faithless, so she can only ask for help from Moon. 3 faithless. Are they in the castle? Moon didn't have a good relationship with faithless, so when he heard the other party's name, he immediately looked around. Not now, they have already got the account books of the Chamber of Commerce, and now they should be checking the accounts and taking inventory in various stores, preparing to take over the Chamber of Commerce's business. Hearing that faithless had infiltrated to this point, Moon was also a little embarrassed. He now needs to purchase materials from Bailey Chamber of Commerce to build a school, refine magic potions, and buy materials. But this Chamber of Commerce will soon be owned by faithless, and then he can only find another way to purchase materials. Can these 3 people be called back in batches? Maybe I can help get rid of them, After thinking these things through, Moon no longer hesitated. Since Faithless wanted to destroy his plan, Moon couldn't let the other party do as he wished. Yes, as long as I agree to hand over the secrets of the family warehouse, they will definitely return. Hearing Moon's words, Lynn Bailey was happy at first, and then immediately proposed a solution. The Bailey Chamber of Commerce has been operating on the Vina Islands for hundreds of years, and the accumulated materials and wealth are far beyond the imagination of others. All these wealth are in the Bailey family's warehouse, and only Ryan Bailey and Lynn Bailey know where the warehouse is. If the unbelievers want to quickly restore their strength and avoid being suppressed and expelled by the spellcasters, they must obtain this wealth. Okay, then you notify them separately, and I will help you solve this dilemma. There are 3 wizards sent by the unbelievers to the Bailey family. Such a combination of strength can completely restrain Ryan Bailey. As for Lynn Bailey, who has just awakened her talent, she is not taken seriously by the unbelievers. The unbelievers' wizard assigned to the nearest Chamber of Commerce base is in Nitsiport, on the main island. That night, he received a letter from Lynn Bailey. After checking the business for 2 days, he knew very well that the Bailey family's warehouse was definitely a huge treasure house. In order to monopolize the credit and collect a batch of materials in advance, he returned to the castle alone. However, before he reached the castle gate, he was hit by Moon's petrification curse. No half a word was just shouted out, and with a thud, the Faithless fell on the hard marble floor. High Priest, you're too fast. He fell before I was ready. Lang, who liked to find people to duel everywhere on Xinjiang Island, walked out from behind the stone pillar helplessly. He originally thought that there would be a big battle, but he didn't expect that the battle would be resolved in less than a second. If it doesn't work, the next one will be left to you, Moon said helplessly. Then it's a deal, you can't interfere. Lang knew very well that no matter whether he used witchcraft or magic, he couldn't beat Moon in speed, so he could only beg to get a chance to attack. Okay, I'll just watch from the side. Moon and Lang talked, carefully searched the things on the Faithless, and then called the castle guards. Lock your fingers, seal your mouth, and it's better to seal your eyes, and don't let anyone get close. Hearing Moon's order, the castle guards who were ambushing in the dark on both sides came out in a daze. They originally thought that there would be a battle of equal strength and great destructive power, but they never thought that it would start and end so peacefully. As you command, Mr. Scarlett. Although they had long known that Mr. and Miss Bailey respected this young wizard very much, it was not until this moment that the guards understood why Moon was respected. This is far from the respect that can be obtained by a bottle of magic potion or a single identification of wizard talent. After all, in this world, wizards represent combat power far beyond ordinary people. And Moon's spells are more powerful than those of ordinary wizards. This made the castle guards respect the young wizard in front of them even more. Lynn Bailey, who was hiding on the top floor of the castle, had been observing the battle below through a telescope. Because Ryan Bailey was not there, she put Anton, the strongest person in the castle, by her side to protect herself. But seeing that the Faithless fell down without even reacting, Lynn Bailey was still a little unbelievable. It was not until the castle guards tied up the Faithless and pressed him down that she breathed a sigh of relief. But then boundless regret surged into her heart again. Oh, if I had known earlier, I should have followed Mr. Scarlett to learn magic. Chapter 243, Battle of the Faithless Leader. After the failure of the island-taking battle, the Faithless suffered heavy casualties and their strength was not as good as before. The wizards sent to seize the Bailey family's property this time were about the same strength as the 2 imprisoned by Moon on the Scarlet Moon. The length of the wizard bar was just over 2 squares. In addition, Moon and Lang were sneak attacks, and the battle was resolved very quickly when the opponent was not prepared. However, Lang was not proficient in using the magic wand and could not cast spells silently, so he was discovered by the Faithless as soon as he opened his mouth. In the end, it took a gorgeous battle to take down the wizard on the opposite side. However, the third Faithless wizard who returned was very difficult to deal with. Like Montoya, he also raised a magical animal. Moon and Lynn Bailey agreed to call back the 3 Faithless wizards who were scattered all over the place. Among them, the one with the highest position and the strongest strength was left at the end. The day after Lynn Bailey wrote a letter, the Faithless wizard who was originally sent to replace Montoya drove his sailboat to the waterway outside the Mayor's castle. Moon hadn't noticed the magical animals that the other party had raised, but it was Bengbeng's reminder that made him notice a strange bird that had landed on the castle. Shiji, that bird is so ugly, Although it was night, Bengbeng's vision was very good. After he finished speaking, he kept staring at the other party, and Moon curiously followed his sight. With the faint moonlight, Moon could vaguely distinguish that the creature standing on the castle, which was larger than an adult, looked more like a bat. It was all black, like a black cloak. It had a pointed mouth and 2 blood-stained gems. Vodabit, Moon recalled that when Hermione introduced him to the Thestrals in the book, he had seen this creature in the same book. This is a creature that likes to attack sleeping humans at night. It not only has a strong magic resistance attribute, but also flies very fast and can see at night. Few wizards can defeat it. According to the description in the book, the only spell that can expel this creature is the Patronus Charm. Lang, the other party should have discovered us. You stabilize the wizard first, I will deal with this big bat. Just as Moon finished speaking, the stomping bat, which was still motionless on the castle, instantly spread its huge wings and swooped down. The stomping bat was originally not small in size, and it was larger than an adult night star after spreading its wings. Going down with the wind, the bone wings rustled, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Moon did not have time to think too much. He knew that most dark creatures like this were afraid of fire magic. So one after another, thunder explosion, hit the stomping bat in the direction of travel. But this was far from enough. The stomping bat turned flexibly in the air and avoided one fire explosion area after another. Watching the stomping bat walking close to the ground and approaching quickly, Moon used a flying spell to summon the flying broom next to him, kicked the ground with his legs, and instantly took off. It should be that he had never seen a wizard fly. The stomping bat originally stretched out its sharp hind claws to catch the prey and fly high into the sky, and then fell down. But he didn't expect the prey to fly up by itself. When the bat launched the attack, the non-believers also launched an attack at the same time. The opponent quickly pinched his hands with the auxiliary spell ring, formed a weird gesture, put it to his mouth, and shouted loudly. Buzz! Instantly, a strong sound wave rushed towards Lang and the castle guards behind him with the wind. Sound magic. Moon had already flown to the sky at this time, watching Lang and a group of guards covering their ears, and some even squatted on the ground in pain. He didn't think much about it, and first shut a, close ears and block listening. At Lang, Moon had learned 2 kinds of sound magic at Hogwarts. One was loud voice, and the other was whisper. But these 2 spells are only auxiliary spells in life, and they are not as powerful as the non-believers on the ground. Lang, who was still worried about Moon, subconsciously covered his ears after being hit by the sound. When he couldn't feel the sound attack of the wizard on the opposite side, he was stunned for a moment, and knew that this was the help given by his own high priest. Without thinking too much, a thunder explosion shot out from the magic wand instantly. However, the Faithless had just completed the second spell gesture at this time, mirror light against the tide. Seeing the flame bounce back, Lang hurriedly dodged. As for Moon in the sky, he was still dealing with a Voldemort. Because the opponent was more maneuverable and flexible, Moon had no choice but to use the cover of the castle building to quickly turn and dodge. Then he continued to cast Thunder Explosion behind him. The Voldemort had a high resistance to magic, and the damage caused by Moon's spell on its body was not great. However, the sudden bright explosion in the night still hindered the vision of this magical creature. Moon was mixed with a very hidden, God's edge without shadow, in these explosions. This kind of black magic attack is difficult to detect, and it is very powerful and faster than ordinary spells. After Moon released 3, God's Edge without shadow, in a row, the black wing membrane of the Voldemort was finally cut open with a long cut. Although such damage will not cause pain to the opponent, it can slow down the flying speed of the stomping bat. After finding that the creature behind him was far away from him, Moon pulled up the flying broom and turned around to cast the spell with all his strength. At this moment, the offense and defense changed. After the stomping bat felt the injury on its wings, it hated the prey in front even more. However, just when it wanted to speed up and catch up, it found that the direction of flight had deviated. Before it could make adjustments, it felt a magic attack from the side. The spells hit it like a torrential rain: leg lock spell, petrification spell, thunder explosion, shattered, burning flames. Moon cast all the spells he mastered and cast the fastest. In order to make the stomping bat unable to react, Moon took out the spare wand and cast spells with both hands. Even if the magic resistance of the stomping bat was high, it had never seen such a scene. Especially its pair of wing membrane wings like a cloak, which were large and fragile. So it received Moon's special care, God of War, and Thunderbolt Explosion, continued to add to the original wounds. Soon, a big hole appeared on the left wing of the bat, and then it crashed to the ground at a high speed. Boom! The huge collision raised a cloud of dust, and the two wizards who were fighting on the ground were also startled. The faithless wizard was actually always at an upper hand in the face of Lang's magic attack. Most of the magic he mastered was attack type, as well as black magic related to various tissues of the body such as blood and bones. Most of the tribal witchcraft that Lang mastered came from various natural phenomena, such as strong winds, huge waves, sand and stones, and flames. Although this type of magic has a relatively strong stamina, it is indeed difficult to compare with the Faithless's physical attack magic when it is first used. Fortunately, Moon taught him to use a magic wand, and he also mastered two spells, Thunderbolt Explosion, and Leg Locking Spell. Although these two spells would be rebounded by the opponents, Mirror Light Reverse Tide, they were enough to deal with danger. When the bat fell to the ground and was knocked unconscious, Moon attacked the Faithless from the sky before he could check if he was pretending to be unconscious. Moon, who had studied this rebound magic, knew very well that Mirror Light Reverse Tide had the smallest rebound against Flame Blazing. So he dodged the rebounded magic in the air while casting spells. It was not until the opponent could no longer hold on, his magic robe was burned, and he shouted to surrender that Moon used 3 petrification spells to freeze him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Harvest and Secrets. When the battle started, the castle guards all hid far away. In a battle between wizards of this strength, ordinary people with only cold weapons could not intervene at all. Especially when they saw the bat with wings spread out, which was bigger than 5 or 6 people, the guards were so scared that they hid in the castle and closed the gate. Originally, the guards did not take the battle tonight seriously because they saw Moon and Lang deal with the faithless wizard very smoothly 2 days ago. However, they did not expect that today's battle would be completely different. It was not until the faithless surrendered and was petrified that Moon called the guards to take out the rope to tie up the wizard and the bat that the guards came out reluctantly. Mr. Scarlett, it won't wake up. The guard holding the rope approached the bat little by little, with a look of fear on his face. Don't worry, I have cast many spells on it. Now even if you bleed it won't wake up. Bleed it, there is no need. Looking at the guard's nervous expression, Moon did not explain much. Now this Voldemort has become Moon's trophy, and all the materials on its body naturally belong to Moon. The blood can be used to make potions, and the teeth and wings of the Voldemort are expensive materials. Moon had seen the purchase price of these materials at Slug and Gins's pharmacy. The price of Voldemort's teeth is higher than that of unicorn horns, 1,000 gold galleons per head. As for the blood of Voldemort, it is the main material of a concealment potion. Professor Snape once told Moon that this potion will be effective for a long time as long as it is taken, and it can definitely avoid being discovered by any wizard when used with an invisibility cloak. The wings of Voldemort have rotted, but they can still be ground into powder for use. When making a flying broom, adding this powder to it can greatly improve the flexibility of the broom when flying. This can be taken back to the Star Wizard for trial. There is also the bones of Voldemort. This kind of bone with a transparent middle can actually be used to make a wand, but the production process is much more troublesome than that of the magical tree. The wizards of the Spirit Tree tribe can use this hollow bone to make bone whistles to cast the Beast Exorcist spell. Moon has long been familiar with the spell of this spell, but he just lacks a medium to cast the spell. Now he can ask the Spirit Tree wizard to help make one. After tying up the bat and putting it in the iron cage, Lynn Bailey, who was hiding on the castle, came down. As soon as she saw Moon, the eldest lady of the family immediately knelt on one knee. Mr. Scarlett, thank you for your help. You saved the entire Bailey family. This time, Lynn Bailey expressed her gratitude to Moon without any selfish motives. When she saw the 2 non-believers wizards being subdued yesterday, she knew that Moon's magic power was definitely far superior to the non-believers. And today, seeing Moon flying into the sky, after solving the huge monster alone, he still had the strength to deal with the non-believers. This made Lynn Bailey more deeply aware of Moon's strength. He is so young, his fighting ability is far superior to other wizards, And he is also the leader of the tribal wizards. This time, we must not miss him again. With this idea, Lynn Bailey showed an absolutely obedient attitude to Moon. Well, the current crisis is not really solved. There are still many slaves on the ship outside the castle. You need to do it yourself. Moon knew that the leaders of the unbelievers like this usually have their own ships. Most of them are ordinary people. Now that he has helped the Bailey family to deal with the wizards, he naturally hopes that the other party can deal with and disband these slaves. In this way, he will not worry that Lynn Bailey will sell himself to the unbelievers in the end. However, what Moon did not expect was that Lynn Bailey not only agreed very readily, but also took the initiative to tell the secret of the family warehouse. When Lang and Anton led the castle guards to confiscate the unbelievers' ships, Lynn Bailey revealed this secret to Moon alone in the reception room. In fact, our family's warehouse has always been in the Mayor's castle, but it has never been discovered. In the castle, Moon was a little curious. He already knew that the three wizards of the Faithless had searched this place many times, but they had never found it. Thinking of this, he suddenly remembered that he had seen a secret door when he borrowed books in the Bailey family's library. Is it in the basement? Hearing Moon's answer, Lynn Bailey was stunned for a moment, then shook her head. No, there is only a collection of the family's magical experience, including spells, material knowledge, potion refining methods, etc. Although it is relatively precious, the Faithless can't look down on it. Seeing that Moon had no clue, Lynn Bailey pointed outside. In fact, the warehouse is under the waterway outside the castle. Under the waterway, Moon was a little surprised. His Scarlet Moon had sailed on that waterway for a while, but he didn't find anything suspicious. Yes, there is an equally wide cave under the waterway, where all the wealth accumulated by the Bailey family over the past 100 years is stored. Equally wide, Moon was a little surprised this time. The waterway outside the Mayor's castle can accommodate 5 Scarlet Moons sailing side by side at the same time. In this way, the amount of wealth under the waterway must be very huge. Well, although I am curious, Miss Bailey, what is your intention in telling me this? Moon has indeed never seen so much wealth, but he will not be lost because of it. With Moon's current ability and the exchange of materials between the two worlds, he will be able to accumulate a good family business sooner or later. So there is no need to envy others, and the most important thing for Moon at the moment is the improvement of his magic power. Mr. Scarlett, I tell you this naturally to rely on you and to prove my determination. For Lynn Bailey, the current family castle can no longer stay. Whether it is the detention of Ryan Bailey or the subjugation of the 3 unbelievers, she has no ability to bear the consequences. So she can only rely on Moon further. Seeing that Moon was still thinking, Lynn Bailey continued. I know that you are building a magic school, Mr. Scarlett. I can support you with my warehouse wealth. I only ask you to let the Bailey family temporarily live on Xinjiang Island. Xinjiang Island is the most mysterious island in the Vina Islands, but it is also the most peaceful island in thousands of years. No matter how the war outside is, it will never affect there. When Moon went to Xinjiang Island, Lynn Bailey couldn't understand it. Now she knows that it is the most suitable place for the family to survive. And compared with the unbelievers and spellcasters, Lynn Bailey believes in Moon's character more. Okay, in this case, I will discuss with the great witches and set aside a small island for the Bailey family to temporarily live. As for your family's warehouse, naturally it belongs to you. When wealth and life were threatened at the same time, Lynn Bailey decisively chose the latter. Well, I will send a message now and ask the wizard to send someone to pick them up. Then I will stay in the castle for a few days to prevent the unbelievers from coming again. Okay, thank you so much. After hearing Moon's arrangement, Lynn Bailey finally breathed a sigh of relief. Only then did she feel a little safe. In the next 3 days, ships set out from Mayor's castle and headed for Xinjiang Island. The entrance to the Bailey family's warehouse was built at the mouth of the waterway, which was unimaginable to most people. Moon still cast a bubblehead curse on himself before going down to determine the location. It was when the wealth in the warehouse was constantly transferred that Moon, who was resting in the Bailey family, returned to Hogwarts again. Chapter 245 Smart Pet. I don't know if it's Moon's illusion, but the time of vacation is much faster than that of school. When he returned to the leaky cauldron again, it was time to prepare for the start of school. With Bengbeng and Zhizhi carrying a suitcase that could already hold a lot of things, Moon said goodbye to the bar owner Tom and went to the train station alone. Crossing the familiar platform, Moon saw his classmates who were returning to school like him. When he stepped on the train to Hogwarts again, Moon was no longer as nervous as the first time. Seeing that Hermione and Neville had already found a seat, Moon also walked over. It's written wrong here. The spell should be texture conversion, stone twig, and here, the scope of application of repairing spell is also wrong. It can't be used on human wounds. This is also the case. You can't see the sickness in winter. Moon had just approached when he heard Hermione constantly correcting Neville's mistakes in his homework. Hey, how was your vacation? Putting the suitcase on the luggage rack, Moon looked at his two friends. Very good, every day is fulfilling. Hermione looked up at Moon, and then continued to look at the parchment in her hand. Well, it was fine. Neville was holding the rabbits beside him, watching Hermione point out one mistake after another on his homework, with a look of despair on his face. Moon had just sat down when Seamus came up. Hearing Hermione correcting Neville's homework, the little wizard immediately found an excuse to change compartments for fear of getting into trouble. After checking all 6 of Neville's homework, Hermione breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry, although there are many mistakes, they are not a big problem. As long as you work harder, you will be able to correct them tomorrow morning. Okay, thank you. Neville took the homework with a crying voice, and immediately buried his head in revision. How about you? How was your vacation? I went to Diagon Alley with my parents, but I didn't see you. Knowing that Moon's learning and memory abilities were very strong, Hermione didn't think about checking Moon's homework, but just talked about what he saw during the vacation. Oh, because Diagon Alley is not safe, I stayed in the room of the leaky cauldron for almost the entire holiday, Moon said as he caught Ralph, who was still trying to escape, and put him on the seat. After seeing their familiar friends, Boom and Squeak also came out of Moon's pocket and played games with Ralph. The leaky cauldron, that's where I went to Diagon Alley. You really should write me a letter so that we can go shopping together. Hermione also noticed Moon's actions. After seeing Boom, she immediately greeted him again. Boom, long time no see. Chi, long time no see. Boom waved his little paw as a greeting. However, Squeak, who was next to him, turned his head and stared at Hermione as if he was waiting for something after hearing Boom's voice. Why is it always looking at me? Is there something wrong? Hermione subconsciously touched her face and hair, but did not find any changes. Why doesn't she say hello to me? Is it because I'm young? Or does she treat animals differently? This is not the quality of a young wizard. You should persuade her to change this habit, Squeaky said and pecked Moon's hand gently, as if to remind him. Feeling a little pain, Moon retracted his hand and looked at Hermione helplessly. It hopes you can say hello to it too. Hermione was surprised for a moment. Although she didn't understand Squeaky's cry, she still followed Moon's instructions and waved her hand again. Hello, Squeaky. Hearing Hermione's voice, the little snowy owl also waved its wings, and then went to surround Riff with a bounce. Why do I feel that your pets seem to be smarter? Looking at the 3 little ones playing happily in their seats, Hermione suddenly felt a little envious. She went to Diagon Alley before Christmas just to buy a pet, but she didn't find a suitable one. Of course, it was also because she wanted to find an animal as smart as Bounce, but she couldn't find it after searching all the pet shops in Diagon Alley. Maybe they are just smart. Moon actually discovered the peculiarity of his pets. Juju had been with him for a short time and couldn't tell anything. But Bengbeng was much smarter than the average magical animal. Not only did he beat all the pets of Gryffindor College in the competition, he also won the praise of the professors. Even in another world, he could help Moon find the whereabouts of the enemy in time. This has long exceeded the scope of a pet, and is more like Moon's comrade-in-arms. As for the reason, in addition to Bengbeng's own factors, Moon guessed that this had a lot to do with his frequent conversations with Bengbeng using human thinking. After all, Bengbeng's current way of doing things is very similar to that of a human child. He wants to make friends, help adults with things, and get praise. Sometimes he is also very naughty. Juju is now also changing in this direction. Although he was still complaining just now, it was just to get the attention of adults. Okay, if you meet a similar pet next time, remember to recommend it to me, preferably a cat. Hermione's pursuit of raising a cat has not changed, but after seeing Bengbeng, her requirements for pets have become higher and higher. After talking about pets, Hermione still mentioned her study during the holidays intentionally or unintentionally. After learning that Moon did not preview the new knowledge in advance, she breathed a sigh of relief, and then frowned again. This is not your style. In order to prevent you from catching up, I went to the second-hand bookstore to buy old books to read. How can you be so lazy? Hermione's tone was a little more accusatory. In her opinion, among all the first-year students, only Moon could make her feel a little pressured. But this little wizard actually wasted a great time during the holidays. This made Hermione feel relieved, but she had to fulfill her duty of reminding him. Okay, Professor Hermione, I will study hard and try to catch up with you before the exam, Moon said seriously, but he was very happy in his heart. It's really good to have a friend who always urges you to study. And Hermione is indeed the student who has made the fastest progress this school year, except for him. Now the wizard bar on the little witch's head has been full, and she is definitely far ahead of the people behind. At least the gap between Malfoy and Hermione is getting bigger and bigger. When Moon saw Malfoy in the Ministry of Magic, his wizard bar was still 3/4 full. As for Neville, who was correcting homework in the corner at the moment, he dared not make a sound. The competition between two good students was not something he could participate in at all. The train finally arrived at Hogsmeade in the evening. This time, Moon and his friends did not take the boat again, but also took the Thestrals carriage. Because no one else could see the Thestrals, Moon led Hermione and Neville to choose a carriage. He didn't know if the Thestrals would bear a grudge, but in order to sit more comfortably, Moon deliberately missed the Thestrals that left school. Back in the castle, Harry and Ron were already waiting in the common room. After seeing Moon, they quickly came up to help take the luggage and shared the happy time at school. Back to the dormitory, just as he put the suitcase away, the two little wizards immediately surrounded Moon mysteriously. We met Hagrid during the holidays, and he has a secret that you will absolutely love. Yes, we have made an appointment with him to go to the Forbidden Forest Lodge tomorrow afternoon. Let's go together then. Chapter 246 Ministry of Magic Letter. Although he didn't know what secret Harry and Ron were talking about, Moon still agreed to go and see it together tomorrow. As for now, he needed to find a few professors to express his gratitude. If it weren't for the gifts given by Professor McGonagall and Professor Flitwick, Moon might have been controlled by the other party at this moment. Now that the shield badge given by Professor McGonagall has been damaged, Moon also needs to explain to the other party. After arranging for Bengbeng to take care of Juju, Moon left the common room and went to the second floor of the castle. Professor McGonagall's vacation is shorter than other professors. She is the one who prepares everything for the students to return to school, so she returned to Hogwarts a day in advance. Knock knock knock. Come and hearing a gentle knock on the door, McGonagall, who was marking the 7th grade homework, looked at the door. Professor, have a happy vacation. Oh, Mr. Scarlett, my vacation is not very happy. Looking at the little wizard who appeared in front of her, McGonagall couldn't help but have a headache. During the Christmas vacation, she was also reunited with her family, but she didn't expect that letters from the Ministry of Magic would arrive one after another. She originally thought that they were greetings from former students and friends, but unexpectedly, they were all letters about a little wizard who violated the rules. For this reason, she had to reply to Minister of Magic Fudge, the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, the Auror Office, and the Office for the Prohibition of the Abuse of Magic during the holidays. For this reason, her holiday arrangements were all disrupted. Moon didn't know what happened, and he looked at McGonagall with a blank face. Well, I think you should see the solution given to you by the Ministry of Magic, McGonagall said, pulling open the drawer of the desk and taking out a letter that had just been received today. Moon took it with both hands, took a look at the familiar Ministry of Magic logo, and then opened the envelope. Dear Professor McGonagall, after internal discussions at the Ministry of Magic, we have decided to revoke the punishment for Mr. Moon Scarlett for using magic outside the school. In addition, in order to prevent similar things from happening again, we also hope that you can reiterate at Hogwarts, students cannot use magic at will outside the school. If there is a next time, we can only follow the current laws. Hope you understand. Finally, I wish you a happy holiday. Noticing that Moon had finished reading the letter, McGonagall asked curiously. Tell me what happened in Diagon Alley. The information I got from these people's letters is not very accurate. Seeing that the Ministry of Magic did not plan to punish him, Moon was relieved. Although the Auror who handled the accident said that he would not be punished, Moon waited for the letter from the Ministry of Magic throughout the holiday. Unexpectedly, the final result came to McGonagall. Professor, I was attacked by a dark wizard in Diagon Alley and had to use magic. Dark wizard? You are not injured. McGonagall stood up from the chair and walked to Moon, observing carefully. I'm fine, thanks to the shield badge you gave me. Looking at the badge in Moon's hand that had been broken into two halves, McGonagall's breathing quickened. She was very clear about the defensive ability of this badge. The iron armor charm attached to it could completely block most of the magic attacks. Moreover, this badge can be reused and will actively protect the wearer. This was the Christmas gift she gave to Moon based on Dumbledore's suggestion. But now the badge has not even survived this holiday. McGonagall took the badge and carefully examined the traces on it. It's the Imperious Curse? No wonder, McGonagall muttered to herself, then turned to look at Moon. As one of the 3 unforgivable curses, the Imperious Curse has no breaking spell. When the curse is successfully cast, the cursed person will be completely under the control of the caster. McGonagall knew that there was a big secret in Moon, but she was not very curious about this secret. But now there are dark wizards using the unforgivable curse to attack her students. McGonagall suspected that this was related to the secret of Moon. But on the other hand, a student was able to escape from the hands of a dark wizard who mastered the unforgivable curse, which also shows that Moon's ability to respond is far superior to others. Can you tell me in detail what happened that day? McGonagall's doubts grew, and her eyes looking at Moon became deeper. Okay, Professor, I just came out of the shop selling flying brooms. After listening to Moon's story, McGonagall nodded continuously, and a relieved smile appeared on her face. You did a great job, Mr. Scarlett. I think the Ministry of Magic should not hold you accountable, but should reward you for discovering the Dark Wizard. At this point, McGonagall felt a little disgusted with the Ministry of Magic's actions. These people who sit in the office every day don't even understand the situation, but they write letters to punish Hogwarts students. It's really true. Noticing that Moon was here, McGonagall didn't say anything to criticize the Ministry of Magic after all. Seeing that Moon still came to her about the shield badge, McGonagall suddenly felt relieved. Don't worry, Scarlett, I will repair this badge for you, and then strengthen it as a reward for you. Thank you, Professor. Moon didn't expect McGonagall to agree to repair the badge. This was a pleasant surprise. Okay, you go back first, I will return it to you within a week. After getting McGonagall's reply, Moon thanked him and left, and then went to find Professor Flitwick. Professor McGonagall went to the headmaster's office after Moon left. If you want to use the Imperious Curse to control the students of Hogwarts, you still need to inform Dumbledore about this. Professor Flitwick was not very concerned about Moon's attack. But after hearing how Moon dealt with it, he couldn't help but applaud and admire. Shield badge, screaming yo-yo, flying broom, finding professor, you know how to use your own advantages to solve the sudden troubles. I have to say that you are the best at dealing with emergencies among the young wizards I have ever seen. Flitwick was very satisfied with Moon's performance. He even looked forward to Moon's performance in the spellcasting competition. Moon didn't think it was a big deal. He had already discovered that most wizards in this world were not sensitive to fighting. Perhaps the dark wizard who attacked him also had the same idea. He probably didn't think that Moon could make a series of responses in an instant. After thanking the professors, Moon returned to the dormitory. After returning to school, without the pressure of being outside, Moon resumed his previous routine. Get up early to study, practice spells, read forbidden books, learn runes, dismantle spells, and take notes. Of course, Moon did not forget what he promised to others. On Monday afternoon, the herbology class ended. Moon followed Harry, Ron and Hermione to Hagrid's hut. By the way, Moon also wanted to help Squeaky find his parents in the Forbidden Forest. Hagrid, it's me. Harry came to the hut as if he was meeting someone, a little sneaky. Moon heard a sound of rummaging in the hut first, and then footsteps walked towards the door. Squeaky, the wooden door was opened. Hagrid first looked around, and then looked down at the 4 little wizards at the door. Oh, you are too conspicuous, can there be fewer people next time? Although he was reluctant, Hagrid quickly opened the door and let the little wizards in. Let us see where it is. Oh, don't worry, it's still an egg now, it's too early to be born. Chapter 247 Fire Dragon's Food. Hagrid was very worried that his secret would be discovered. After the little wizard entered the house, he immediately closed the door and drew the curtains. Moon and Hermione didn't know what happened. Only Harry and Ron looked at Hagrid expectantly, hoping that he could take out the things. But Hagrid was not in a hurry, especially after seeing Moon. He first asked Moon about his holiday life with a smile, and then took out a stoat sandwich for everyone. Stoat is a common animal in the Forbidden Forest. Hagrid would catch a lot of it in the Forbidden Forest every once in a while. Fry the stowed meat and combine it with jam and bread to make Hagrid's afternoon tea. The four little wizards just took a look at the dry meat and politely declined Hagrid's kindness. But Bengbeng, after entering the house, played with Ale for a while, and then came to the fireplace and kept looking inside. "Gee, what is that?" Only Moon could understand what Bengbeng said. Seeing Bengbeng stretching his little paws to point into the fireplace, Moon also looked into the flames curiously. "I saw a dark oval object quietly staying in the stove." "What is that?" Moon asked curiously. Hagrid naturally noticed Bengbeng's movements. After hearing Moon's words, he walked over and gently picked up Bengbeng, touched his long nose, and then lifted the kettle on the stove. "I knew I couldn't hide anything from you, little guy," Hagrid said, picking up a glass of chicken blood brandy next to him and pouring it into the flame. With a bang, the flames suddenly shot out, and several little wizards also looked sideways. "Oh, it's here. Are you sure your hatching method is correct?" Harry and Ron had known Hagrid's secret for a long time. The two of them stared at the blue flames that were poured with high alcohol and exploded. "Of course, this is what the book says. Put the dragon eggs in the fire, just like their mothers exhaled on them, and pour a glass of chicken blood brandy every half an hour." While the three were talking in front of the fireplace, Hermione found a few books hidden by Hagrid. Dragon Species in Britain and Ireland, From Dragon Eggs to Hell, Guide to Raising Dragons for Fun and Profit. Dragon eggs? So this is what they look like. Moon finally knew what the species in the flame was. However, looking at the 3 empty bottles of wine on Hagrid's desk, Moon showed a thoughtful expression. "Hagrid, did you read it wrong? The book says that after the dragon eggs are hatched, the little dragons should be fed chicken blood brandy every half an hour, not when they are hatched." After hearing the news of dragons attacking the city in another world, Moon returned to Hogwarts and looked up a lot of information about dragons. Moon had read these books at the time and can still recall the contents now. "Really? Let me see." Hearing Moon's words, Hagrid hurriedly took the book. His huge fingers ran across the lines of tiny text and found the original text. "It's broken. The dragon eggs will not be broken by me." After discovering the mistake, Hagrid hurriedly wanted to reach out to take the dragon eggs, but the high temperature of the flame stopped him. Just as Hagrid was about to take the dragon leather gloves, Boom stood in front of the stove and stretched out his little paw to stop him. "Chirp, no, it's fine." Seeing Boom's action, several people turned their heads to look at Moon at the same time. Moon didn't know what was going on. He looked at Boom. "What happened to the dragon egg?" "Chirp, it's eating." "Eating? You mean, the dragon egg is absorbing the energy of the flame?" "Chirp, yes, absorbing." Moon told everyone the information Boom had observed, and Hagrid was relieved after hearing it. "Did I find the method of hatching dragons by accident? It should be. And according to Boom, this dragon egg seemed very happy when you fed it wine. It will definitely be born out of the ordinary." Moon has studied many ancient magic books. He is very clear that there are indeed errors and omissions in the content of the books. Or the wizards in the past did not think of this hatching method at all. "I think you should be concerned about how to solve this problem, not how to raise dragons." After learning that there were dragon eggs in the fireplace, Hermione raised the opinion against raising dragons. It is now forbidden to keep dragons in the UK. It is illegal and very dangerous. "Ron, you should know this very well," Hermione said, looking at Ron who had been squatting in front of the fireplace, hoping that he could explain. "Of course I know that at the Wizard Conference in 1709, a bill was passed to ban the keeping of dragons. Moreover, taming wild dragons is very dangerous. Charlie has many burns from the expulsion of wild dragons in Romania." Ron is always very clear about what happens in the magic world. When talking about wild dragons, Moon is also a little concerned. "Then are there wild dragons in Britain?" "Of course, there are Welsh green dragons and black dragons in the Hesperidian Islands. I can tell you that one of the jobs of the Ministry of Magic is to conceal the existence of these wild dragons. They often cast spells on those muggles who see wild dragons, so that they forget about it completely." The spell Ron said was naturally the forgetfulness spell. The memory cancellation command was responsible for handling related incidents. When encountering things related to dragons, Ron's father was often called over to help. "So there are so many. Do you know how to get to the Hesperidian Islands?" Moon was just thinking about whether he could find the local dragons in Britain when he had time. However, as soon as he asked, Hermione cast a murderous look at him. "What do you want to do? This is a very dangerous thing." Seeing Hermione angry, Moon consciously shut his mouth. Hagrid, on the other hand, knew that his mistake did not cause any hidden dangers to the dragon eggs. He took a small branch and hummed a little tune while constantly fiddling with the fire. I don't think it's a big deal. It just so happens that I haven't seen a dragon born yet. Maybe this time I can make up for my regret. Ron had always heard his brother Charlie say in the letter that the dragon baby was very cute. This time he finally saw it with his own eyes, so he naturally didn't care about Hermione's thoughts. Harry didn't want to stop Hagrid. He didn't know much about the Ministry of Magic's pen. As for Moon, he was as curious as Bong. After Hermione realized that no one supported her, she didn't say anything more. Instead, she looked at the dragon egg in the flames curiously. Little guy, can you sense the life in the egg? Hagrid held Bumblebee in his arms, hoping to get the right advice. Chirp, it's very strong, but now it's full. Every time Bumblebee said something, Moon helped to convey it to Hagrid. Oh, that means I should feed it less chicken blood brandy. Then how much is appropriate? Chirp, I don't know, I need to wait and see for 2 more days. After staying with Moon for a long time, Bumblebee's thinking became more and more logical. Okay, after hearing Bumblebee's answer, Hagrid turned back to look at Moon. Can Bumblebee stay with me for a few days? Don't worry, I estimate that the dragon egg will hatch soon, and then I will send it back. Moon first glanced at Bumblebee and found that he did not refuse, so he nodded. Well, I think Bumblebee should also like to make a new friend. That's great. I was worried that the little dragon would be lonely after it was born. Hagrid was very happy. Although he had not been in contact with Bumblebee for a long time, he had seen Bumblebee's social skills. If even the giant squid in the Black Lagoon can get along well with this little guy, then the fire dragon must be able to do so as well. Chapter 248, Key Luo's Change. After solving the problem of hatching the dragon eggs, Moon asked Hagrid about Squeak. Especially the specific location of the tree where Squeak lived was cut down. Moon guessed that Squeak's parents should take time to go back and see their children. Even though their children are very noisy and don't look like a serious snowy owl at all. Oh, that won't work. That place is deep in the Forbidden Forest. You can't go in. Hagrid wanted to draw a map for Moon, but when he heard that Moon planned to go in alone to find the parents of the little snowy owl, he decisively rejected his request. Is that so? It seems that I can only look for it in the owl shed in the castle first. Moon also knew the school rules of Hogwarts, especially when Dumbledore said at the beginning of the school that students could not enter the Forbidden Forest. However, after getting along with Moon and Bounce, Squeak had gradually forgotten about looking for his parents. When Bounce learned that he would live with Hagrid for a while, he automatically flew to the beam of Hagrid's hut and took a nap. Don't worry, I will take good care of these 2 little guys for you, and there will be absolutely no mistakes. Hagrid was also very happy. It was rare for him to be so lively here. After saying goodbye to Hagrid, the 4 little wizards returned to the castle. Moon planned to go to the small classroom on the 2nd floor of the castle to practice spells. When he fought Voldemort last time, he found that his left and right hands did not work very well together. He needed to find out the problem and practice more. Hermione took Harry and Ron to go back to review their lessons. Hermione, the exam is still hundreds of years away. There is no need to worry at all, it's 15 weeks, Hermione retorted. This time is just a blink of an eye for Nicholas Flamel, but we are not 600 years old, and why do you need to review? Don't you already know all the knowledge? Ron didn't understand Hermione's approach at all. In his opinion, reviewing should be done 2 days before the exam. Why should I review? Are you crazy? Do you know that we have to pass these exams to be promoted to the 2nd grade? Listening to Hermione's nagging in front, Moon, who was walking behind, finally understood why the little witch's wizard bar grew so fast. No, Moon had known this for a long time, but he didn't expect Hermione to be so motivated to study. Harry's wizard bar is now 3/4 of a grid, and this is the result of his growth after the last Quidditch match. As for Ron, his wizard bar is now only 1/3 of a grid. Although there is progress, it is not much. This is almost the bottom of the first-year wizards. As for Moon, he is not holding the old willow wand now, and the length of the wizard bar is just over 2 grids. This should be the level of an excellent 3rd-year student. Of course, this level of strength is inseparable from Moon's repeated magic battles in another world, as well as various extreme magic exercises. For example, Moon's training with a giant squid, the spell training according to the plan formulated by Professor Flitwick, and that kind of strange memory ability, as well as the intake of various forbidden book knowledge. All these made Moon's strength grow far beyond others, and his foundation was also very solid. Why don't you listen to Hermione and go back to review your lessons? Moon didn't care much about Harry's learning situation before. The same is true for the magic strength shown by the wizard's bar. He knew that the hobbies of young wizards had a lot to do with the growth of strength, and Ron just didn't find the relevant hobbies. But now it's different. After Harry received the invisibility cloak from Dumbledore, Moon guessed that the white-bearded headmaster must have some special arrangements for Harry. Just like himself, after being arranged by Dumbledore to take a divination test, he fought one battle after another in another world. Moon didn't know whether this was a difficulty he was destined to encounter, or whether Dumbledore had predicted something in advance. Now Harry is likely to encounter various dangers. Thinking of this, Moon naturally hopes that his friend's strength can be improved quickly. No way, in the eyes of the two of you, there's nothing else to do except study. Ron was still unwilling, but Harry listened to Moon's words. He nodded and followed Hermione. After seeing this sudden situation, Ron also ran forward 2 steps quickly. Well, don't say I won't accompany you. Let's learn this shackle together. After returning to the castle with the 3 people, Moon found Filch to borrow the key and went to the small classroom on the 2nd floor alone. The last time he fought Voldemort, Moon tried to use both hands to cast spells in order to quickly resolve the battle. Among them, the skilled right hand controlled the old willow wand and cast silent spells. The unskilled left hand held the wand purchased from Ollivanders and cast ordinary spells. But in the process of fighting, Moon found that this method was not as fast as casting silent spells with one hand. Fortunately, Voldemort had been severely injured at that time, so Moon was just practicing and found many problems. The first is the problem of magic conflict. Silent spells require high concentration and extremely restrained mental control, while ordinary spells usually require spell pronunciation and want gesture release. Casting 2 spells at the same time is easy to cause conflicts. Whether it is the allocation of magic power or the interference of actions, it will make it difficult for the spell to achieve the desired effect. The second is the excessive consumption of mental power. Controlling 2 wands at the same time is by no means a 1+1 effect. It will greatly distract a caster's attention. And human mental power is limited. If the attention is dispersed, it will lead to insufficient control of the details of each spell. The consumption of mental power is also very large. As the battle continues, mental fatigue will accumulate rapidly. This will affect the reaction speed and thinking of the caster, and will also cause errors in judgment and action in battle. These problems are all summed up by Moon in actual combat, and now he needs to solve them one by one. The first point to solve the magic conflict is to strengthen the training of the left hand. Use the magic perception training method learned from Professor Snape and try it again with the left hand. Moon's right hand quickly casts spells and can cast silent spells so early, which has a lot to do with this practice method. Use the left hand to cast floating spell to practice on the pottery figurines, and then slowly add the silent spell of the right hand. Such practice takes a lot of time, but the effect is very good. As for the problem of excessive consumption of mental power, this can only be done by finding a way to improve mental power. In fact, Moon, who has already started studying brain magic, has a mental power far superior to other young wizards. In particular, Professor Flitwick once made a detailed training plan for Moon. Among them, there is a suggestion on how to achieve the expected effect of the spell, the quality and intensity of the spell effect. This contains the summary of the spellmaster's mental training method. With a specific implementation method, all Moon needs to do is to practice constantly and gradually increase the difficulty of the spell. In the next few days, Moon spent twice as much time in the small spell classroom. Of course, Moon will also help find Juju's parents in the castle when he has time. But there has been no harvest. On Wednesday, during the defense against the dark arts class, Moon found that Professor Quirrell seemed to have changed a lot. He looked paler and thinner, as if he had a serious illness. And his clothes were not only full of garlic, but also had a smell of wood. Moon was very familiar with wood carvings. Although Quirrell had been on the podium, he could still smell this subtle difference. Not only that, Moon also found that Professor Quirrell's eyes had changed when he looked at him. With a little appreciation, but more like hatred. Did I offend this professor in some way? Moon looked at the book and thought about the problem. Okay, today. That's all for today. Quirrell's class style returned to reading textbooks, boring and difficult. And he didn't assign any homework, but even so, The professor seemed very busy every day. Chapter 249 Tired Snape. During the Christmas holidays, Quirrell returned to school early. He also took advantage of the fact that there were few people in the school and the professors were on vacation to go to the 4th floor to observe the enhanced version of Lu Wei. "Master, do we have to use this method?" After class, Quirrell, who returned to the office, was no longer stuttering, but looking at the messy human figures and limbs in the room, he became a little nervous again. "Of course, do you have a better way, or do you have the confidence to use a spell to make the three-headed big dog fall asleep?" The sudden hoarse voice was very weak and powerless, like the accusation of an old man whose life was about to end. "How can I do it? Even Snape couldn't subdue the big dog, so my spell certainly won't work." "Then why are you still nagging? Since you can't subdue the big dog and can't quickly cast a spell to shut up those puffs, you can only use my method." When Quirrell went to observe Lu Wei, he found the collar on Lu Wei's neck. He originally wanted to cast a sleeping spell to make the puffs and the collar fall asleep. But he didn't expect that Moon put 36 puffins on just one collar, and the 3 collars added up to hundreds. And with Quirrell's magic power, he could only control 2-3 puffins with one spell. And as long as he cast a spell, he would definitely be discovered and attacked by Lu Wei. "Well, Master, I just didn't expect that Moon Scarlett could do this." Quirrell didn't take Moon seriously at first. No matter how hard a first-year wizard tried, in his opinion, he couldn't achieve much. But after seeing Lu Wei's 3 collars, he realized that he was very wrong. Using magical creatures as reminders, and runes to reinforce, and not hinder the big dog's battle. Such thinking and magical creations, he couldn't do it in the first year. "I really don't know how you graduated. Don't Ravenclaws only know how to study and don't understand that practice and practice are the most important ways to improve magic power?" The hoarse voice was very helpless. He knew that the substitute he found was not perfect, but this was his only chance to leave the dark forest. Listening to his master's constant rebuke, Quirrell didn't dare to refute. "Okay, make these things quickly. I'm getting weaker and weaker. If I'm too late, I have to catch a unicorn and use its blood to temporarily maintain my life." Quirrell shuddered when he heard that he had to catch a unicorn. He had read a lot of books and knew that hunting unicorns would be cursed, but now he was controlled by others and there was nothing he could do. The only thing he could do was to complete the task at hand before his master became extremely weak, so that he might avoid using his body to hunt unicorns. The time at Hogwarts was relaxed and enjoyable. There was no need to worry about anything else except studying. Bengbeng has been living with Hagrid these days to help take care of the dragon eggs. Juju has learned to fly, and now it flies back to the castle once a day to tell Moon what happened that day. "Gugu, the giant gave me a big rat today. It's not tasty at all. It's smelly, but he said it's what birds should eat. Have you looked for my parents? Are they in the castle?" Juju rushed back before the school dinner, wanting Moon to take it to eat the food in the auditorium. "I've been looking for 3 days. But I still haven't seen the snowy owl with 3 tufts of black feathers on its head as you said, but don't worry, I will continue to look for it," Moon answered truthfully. He asked many birds in the castle owl shed in the past 3 days, but still didn't find it. Juju didn't care about the result. When he heard that Moon was going to continue looking, he tilted his head and rubbed Moon's hair. "Gugu, thank you, I can deliver letters now. If you need anything, please don't hesitate. But I can't fly too far and it's easy to get lost. It's best not to leave the island when you deliver letters." The island that Juju said was the British Isles. The last time it left school with Moon, the farthest it went was London, which is also the limit of its current delivery range. "Okay, if you need to deliver a letter, I'll find you. By the way, what is Bengbeng doing?" Moon took Juju into the auditorium, found his seat, and then cut off a small piece of grilled lamb chops and handed it to its mouth. Juju swallowed the lamb chops in 2 or 3 bites and spoke again. "Gulu, your food is still delicious, much more delicious than the rats that the giant asked the dog to catch. Bengbeng is looking after the fire dragon egg. The big black egg has turned green. Bengbeng said it is almost cooked." "Cooked? Oh, it's about to hatch." Moon has been talking to Juju, and the little wizard next to him is also guessing what Juju said through his words. Among them, Ron is very envious of Moon's ability. He originally thought that Moon could only talk to his pet, but now it seems that Moon's ability is far more than that. "Are you sure that Scarlett is a family that moved to Britain later, and not a descendant of the Ambrosius family?" Looking at the owl on Moon's shoulder, Ron looked at Moon curiously. "Of course, But who is Ambrosius? It's Merlin. Ambrosius is his last name. Legend has it that Merlin can summon all kinds of animals, and he also used animals to help King Arthur win the war. Ron knew these ancient magic stories very well. When he heard the stories when he was a child, he thought that these were all plots compiled by wizards. But after seeing this ability in Moon, he had to believe the truth of the story. Although I don't know where my talent came from, it should have nothing to do with Merlin. Moon was very sure that his family had nothing to do with Merlin, unless this great wizard had been to his hometown. Hermione, who was next to him, also showed a thoughtful expression after hearing Ron's words. She knew that Moon's origins were very mysterious, and he had been hiding his family and relatives. Now hearing Ron's reminder, the little witch who had always been very curious also felt that it made sense. But Hermione did not ask. She knew that Moon did not want to talk about it. Every time he asked questions about his family, Moon would either avoid or change the subject. Okay, I'm just saying that, but you have to remember to come to my house during the summer vacation. Mom has urged me several times, after giving Mrs. Weasley a piece of star sand last Christmas, the kind which has been writing letters to invite Moon to visit. Okay, I'll go during the summer vacation. I'll go too. I'll let Hedwig notify you when the time comes, Harry hurriedly added after hearing this. He also received an invitation from Mrs. Weasley. After the squeaky finished eating, Who flapped his little wings and left the castle. The tree nest where it slept was still lying in the little pocket of Bengbeng. In the potion class on Friday, Moon finally met Snape. The award ceremony had already ended, and Snape had appeared on the front page of the Daily Prophet for 3 consecutive days. The students of Slytherin were very happy this week, and they could be heard talking about their own dean everywhere. Compared with the heated discussions of the little wizards, Snape was not so excited, but looked very tired. After the potion class, Snape called Moon to the office, took out a small box of potions, and said a little tiredly, "Here are 30 portions of the plant growth potion. The rest will be replenished next week." Chapter 250, The Club Was Stolen. For Snape, this week was a mixture of pain and joy. Although he was very busy every day, it was like he was working to pay off his debts for his students. But every time he thought of getting a rare herb, Snape was full of motivation. Now when he saw Moon, he could also force out a little smile, instead of keeping a straight face like before. Remember, next time you have good potion materials, you must come to me first. Although he didn't know the source of Moon's potion materials, Snape knew that as long as he could win over the little wizard in front of him, he would get a huge reward. In addition, in order to explore how many good things Moon had hidden, Snape spent a lot of energy this week to refine these potions in advance. Okay, Professor, I have to say that you are really fast at refining potions. Moon shook the medicine bottle in his hand and found that it was no different from the original growth potion, so he put it away with confidence. Originally, Snape promised that it would take a month to refine 100 plant growth potions, but now it seems that it can be completed in half a month. The pressure on the professor is still not enough, Moon said silently in his heart. After hearing Moon's praise, Snape showed an unnatural expression on his face. He worked hard to make potions, not just to hear a compliment from his students. But thinking that Moon was the only one who could bring him rare materials, Snape couldn't say anything to blame. Although these potions are made by me in batches, the effect has not decreased. You can rest assured. Looking at Moon's tireless inspection of each bottle, Snape gritted his teeth and said, "Oh, no wonder every bottle of potion is the same. Professor, did you use a brass automatic stirring crucible?" Hearing Snape's explanation, Moon looked at the operating table next to him. The alcohol lamp on the table was heating a large yellow crucible, and the stirring rod was also spinning on its own. The thermal conductivity of the copper crucible is about 6 times that of tin, which can reduce the boiling time of the potion by half and improve the efficiency of potion making. Of course, this kind of crucible is not suitable for beginners, and Moon has only seen it in Diagon Alley. Snape didn't explain anything, he just nodded as an acknowledgement. Seeing that Snape didn't want to talk more and his expression gradually became gloomy, Moon immediately said goodbye and left. This deal was very cost-effective for Moon, and he now knew that the number of such potions he could refine was not the upper limit for Snape. Maybe he could ask Professor Snape to refine more in the future. On Saturday morning, Moon got up early and began to study alchemical runes. Now he has mastered 12 runes. In addition to the 3 runes he mastered before, Strengthen, Link, and Induction. Recently, he has learned 9 more runes: Vitality, swiftness, insight, energy, guardian, hidden, purification, attraction, and repulsion. Some of these runes come from the Fire Emblem Key, and some come from the Wizard Talent Detection Device of the Magician Association. Among them, the purification rune was separated by Moon from the magic circle under the spirit tree. Moon guessed that this magic circle with the purification rune as the main one was a way for the tribal priests to delay the erosion of the curse. However, Moon has not studied this magic circle thoroughly, and can only separate one rune. Although Moon has mastered more than 7 runes, it is still difficult to form a qualified magic circle. It seems that it is far from enough to just master the carving. It is necessary to understand the exact meaning of each rune. Early in the morning, Moon tried to carve 7 different groups of runes on the wooden board, trying to form a basic, guardian, type magic circle. This is a basic magic circle in all 3 reference objects, but Moon tried several times without success. Every time the magic circle was just about to close, a strong repulsive force was generated out of thin air, causing the wooden board to shatter. I still need more practice. Hearing Moon sigh, Hermione, who got up early to read a book next to him, was also very nervous. At Christmas, Hermione received a rune booklet from Moon. This booklet only records 10 runes, but the page number is more than 200 pages. Hermione was very happy when she received the gift, but she didn't expect that this booklet would become the most headache book for her during the holiday. Obscure and difficult to understand, with changing semantics, many contents cannot be found, and we can only speculate. A rune placed here represents guard, placed in another place means obstruction, and placed in another place means hide. Such uncertain knowledge gave Hermione a headache to learn, so she only learned 2 runes during the whole holiday. But today, seeing that Moon had already started to make basic magic circles with runes, Hermione envied and was a little anxious. Is the gap between me and a strange gentleman so big? It was not until all 3 wooden boards of Moon were cracked that Hermione breathed a sigh of relief. But then Moon suddenly said something that made Hermione's heart tighten again. So this is the problem, it should be successful next time. On the weekend, Moon returned to the Vina Islands on time. The assets of the Bailey family have been transferred. This time, Lynn Bailey mobilized hundreds of 3-masted sailing ships from the Chamber of Commerce to complete the transportation. The 3 great witches also welcomed the Bailey family to join, and specially set aside a small island for them to live in. The unbelievers did not show up to stop them this time, which made the Bailey family feel much more at ease. But the tribal wizards didn't think so. This time, they protected the Bailey family and provided security for the construction of the Xingjian Island Magic School. But it also marked that the tribal wizards and the unbelievers were on opposite sides. This time, all the adult tribal wizards were dispatched to prevent accidents. But the other party didn't make any movement, which made the 3 great wizards puzzled. But Moon didn't pay attention to these. He was studying the spells tortured from the unbelievers at this time. Explosive sound. This is the sound magic cast by the unbelievers to knock down a group of people. Compared with loud voice, this spell is more powerful. As long as it is cast, a powerful sound wave will be generated. Wherever it goes, the air will be violently compressed and vibrated. It can not only cause certain damage, but also interfere with the enemy's perception and slow down the opponent's reaction speed. Moon spent an hour mastering this spell, and then recorded it in his manual as a backup spell for future dismantling and transformation. There are already 5 magic and witchcraft recorded in the manual, all of which are spells that Moon is preparing to transform. Among them, the disassembly progress of Mirror Light Against the Tide was the fastest. All 4 spells have been converted. Mirror Light shines, against the tide surges, all who come will return, protect me, it became Mirror Light Blessing. The complex action has also been disassembled halfway, and it is estimated that it can be performed with a wand within a week. The second fastest disassembly progress is Dream Spell. Moon originally wanted to use this spell to cooperate with his memory recall magic. So he completed the transformation of the spell in advance, and only the action optimization was left. Spiritual Dream, Virtual World is the guide. Phantom spirits come to the world, and dreams follow the heart. It became Phantom Spirits Entering Dreams. After completing the tasks of teaching and settling the Bailey family on Xingjian Island, Moon returned to Hogwarts again 7 days later. During the Herb Club time on Monday, Moon and Cedric had just walked into the classroom. Senior Bernard, who was planting snail grass, exclaimed, "Who stole my adhesive?" That's my latest achievement that I want to send to the merchant. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.